Hello.
Welcome to the UnScripted PodCast. Where the only thing scripted is this intro. My name is
Yay! There you go.
And we're joined again. We gotta celebrate. We gotta take a moment of silence. Gotta pray.
Pray to who?
It's the return of Sergey.
We have a full room this week.
After the depressing loss of Garen last week, and then Sergey's seat has just been a freaking hole in the ground for
I'm right here.
2 months now.
Hello. How's everyone?
I'm doing good. You're
Doing great.
different. You lose weight? Been working out?
A little bit.
All right.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic. I don't know if you're being sarcastic with
No,
that.
I'm
You posted
just-
all over Facebook. That's
Really?
That's kind of why I thought you were bringing up.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow.
I was like,
Be more obvious.
Yes.
Wait, what happened?
No, because he's been posting on Facebook. I thought
And
you were trying to be
Instagram.
like, hey, have you been losing? I thought you were trying to be like.
No,
Yeah.
I have not noticed. I'm very rarely on
So you're
Facebook.
very genuine right now.
Here's
I'm
the thing.
so
When
sorry.
I'm on Facebook, I'm usually checking out the ladies. And as you know, with his big illustrious beard, oh my God, I'm the only person in here that doesn't have a beard. I just realized that. He is not a lady. Although some ladies can have beards, but we're not talking about those ladies. Anyway, I
like
want to
this-
say we have a full show, but I don't.
It
know
was very
what
funny
we
because you
got.
had handheld and picture on your laptop when you were talking about.
Oh, because I got my stories ready, man. I'm good to go.
Yeah,
Even though
pretty
that's one of the later
excited
stories I
for
have on my list chronologically, I was gonna start off
That's
with
the
a
sad
show.
news.
Well, because wait, what's the sad news?
The
Oh,
one
are
that
you
you have.
looking at? By the way, do you have any stories?
No.
Okay, we have a rule here now. You don't know this because you weren't here, so I'm gonna give you a pass this time. But if you come in without stories, you have to introduce yourself by every sentence. As you say,
Not every sentence.
every time you start speaking for the duration of the show, you have to
No.
introduce it with saying, "My name is," in Garen's case, Garen's an alien, and I have no news. That's the rule now, so that you have news.
Can we change it in a way that
Garen, do you not have news?
I do have news.
Okay, thank God.
But no, like I said, can we change it in a way that we just have to it doesn't have to be the first thing we say. We can just remind people that we have no news.
Just and by the way, I have no news.
It's like, by the way, before I say anything else, I have no news. And that's like you have to.
Sure. You just have to keep reminding people.
And
that
every
you have
time you
no
don't do that, you get.
But you didn't know that, so I'm going to give you a pass. Anyway, I was mostly want to talk to Matt about this news because Matt's the radio guy in the room. CBS is selling off its radio division like entirely, like all their stations. They're putting them all up.
I'm not surprised.
Are you not surprised? Why? I want to know more because I don't pay enough attention to radio. Apparently, they've already done this to their advertising,
So
all their billboards and stuff.
since the late mid 90s, there's been a constant consolidation. Radio used to be like mom and pop businesses, right? Everybody owned a little station, et cetera, et cetera. But then through that time period, early mid 90s to about early 2000, buying, and you had a huge few conglomerates develop, right?
It's like CBS, iHeartMedia, and
Which was formerly Clear Channel.
Oh, I
And
was
they
going
own
to say
all
Clear
the
Channel.
outdoor avid billboards.
Right, which
So-
all say Clear Channel underneath them
Yeah,
for the most part.
exactly. So what I think is happening because of essentially all the different podcasting, different types of new media. I know a lot of people don't like that word.
I love that
but
term.
We'll call it that.
It fits perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is exactly. So radio is having a really hard time competing in their traditional model.
And you've also got satellite radio, which
And
is
that
available
was-
everywhere.
Right, and that also hurt real bad because it lifted the FCC regulations.
Oh, God.
on radio.
Hearing celebrities swear on Howard Stern is like, it makes me giggle.
Yeah,
like
but
a,
I mean,
like a
that-
little girl.
But it was new at the time, so
Mhm.
everybody kind of jumped ship and started listening to it.
Right.
So because of all those issues, radio just doesn't have the same
Fellowship.
the listeners are just not there as much. And plus now with all the technology in the cars,
Yeah.
right, that's been slowly progressing so you can have
And cell phones.
Yeah.
cell phones, right, and then you can link them up to your speakers and all that.
Mhm.
It's really hard.
Now, the
to
thing
listen
I'm
to.
curious about, because I know Nielsen does TV ratings with a little box that sits on the back of your TV and stuff like that. How do you get ratings, quote unquote, for radio? Because they throw that out. It's a signal that just goes. And TV did the same thing, so I assume it could be similar. But the radio stations, even today with HD radio, just goes out there. They have no way of tracking.
No, they do. It's
Oh, they do?
exactly the same way.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's the
somebody
same thing.
volunteers to
There's-
have something in their
there's a queue
car.
and there's listenership, and
Okay.
it's not. It's like I think it's maybe I'm wrong. I might get this right, but it's probably I think 3 minutes.
Okay.
They're looking for like how long people are
Mhm.
listening.
Okay.
So yeah, and a lot of times too, because all these other technologies that came out that allow people to DVR with video and move out of the commercials, move through them.
Mhm.
You can't do that in traditional terrestrial radio.
That's true, but you
That
just
turns
change
a
the
lot of people
station,
off.
which is because there's so many.
But actually, a lot of times, formatting wise, you'll notice that a lot of the formats,
Yep.
because of this consolidation in industry, they're all running the similar format where all the
Mhm.
stations across the board, a lot of times, you're going to have the same,
Yeah.
advertising play at the same time.
And you spend the entire commercial break flipping through stations, and then
Yeah.
by the time you get through it, you've gone back to the beginning, like, wow, whatever, I'll
Right,
just
so once
stay
that
here.
30 seconds is up across the board, the frequency spectrum,
Mhm.
you're back to whatever you want to listen
Yeah.
to. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Tough business.
I mean-
CBS owns 117 stations in 27 markets, and they're getting rid of all of them. It says here they took a $484 million write-down on the value of the radio station groups in the fourth quarter of last year, citing sustained decline in projections.
Yep.
So they're
It's all
going
about the ad
down, going down.
Yeah, and new media, I think, is sucking up a lot of that ad revenue,
Mhm.
starting to at least.
I mean, I think it's really funny because thing that I've been seeing happen a lot more now is advertisements that were on podcasts
Mhm.
now coming to TV.
Mhm.
Like
Nice.
something I've been one of the podcasts I've been listening to is sponsored by Casper Mattress,
Mhm.
and it's like cool. Okay, I know what Casper Mattress is from them. They give you a deal if you use them and stuff like code and all that. And so before Christmas, around autumn,
Mhm.
start seeing billboards. And just
Mm.
the other day, I saw an actual TV commercial
Oh my goodness.
for it. I'm like, wow. I wonder what's going to happen if they're going to stick with like the podcast subscribe, like if they're going to still keep funding them.
The thing is, they're probably whatever the brand is, and you find this
Mattresses.
with apps a lot too. No, I mean like the particular
Mhm.
company or group that's doing it is that as their business grows and they have more money, they can
Yes.
afford to advertise in bigger spaces.
Right. Well, the thing is, I wonder at what point they realized, oh, these billboards are giving us way more than these podcasts were.
Yeah. Well, they could also afford the billboard.
Or would you
Yeah.
say that customers that came from the advertisement from podcast
Grew their
boost their business,
Yes.
Mhm.
and they were able to go to the next step?
No, the thing is, I completely agree, and I'm not saying that that's not the issue. I'm saying, at what point do they outgrow the podcasts?
Mhm.
Well, I think with the billboards, at least, they're probably targeting specific demographics. So they might have seen through the podcast, like, oh, this area happens to be buying our product. And then they're like, let's drop even another
Yeah,
Mhm.
thing.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that
'cause
makes
they could
actually
track that
perfect sense.
easily.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
So the funny thing about this right here, and this is for those of you listening who know that I'm usually the notes guy, I don't have any freaking notes this week. So this thing that I just read that's amazing is that Cumulus Media, who's apparently the nation's second largest radio station owner behind iHeartMedia, has been mentioned as a potential buyer of the CBS group. So that would probably skyrocket them ahead. If them being in second place, combined with
No, for those of you, I mean, no one's watching. But I was about to say, wait a minute. And so basically, Matt was like, okay, we're done with this, and he handed the mic back to Garen. And then instantly, as Jason was starting to say what he said, he yanked the mic right back.
it's pretty funny.
No, I love it. I knew you were gonna say something. What's interesting is it's like you're really at once the dust settles,
Mhm.
you're gonna have iHeartMedia, and you're gonna have Cumulus, and it's like
Yeah.
at what point
Does one swallow the other?
yeah, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
have that whole eventually a few years down the road.
I think
Monopoly-
the FCC would have to step
Nope,
in at
Sirius
that
and
point.
XM already did it. Sirius
Ooh.
and XM.
Oh, true.
So it's Sirius XM now.
Yeah.
Also, because of all this consolidation and a lot of jobs being lost,
Mhm.
that also directly impacts the FCC, and a lot of their jobs have been cut back too. So
Mhm.
it's going to be interesting. Eventually, that's going to happen, and then it's like, do they self-implode their own industry?
But it's a question of where does, like, again, the FCC, does the FCC have regulation over anything coming over the internet?
It's not FCC, it's Trading Commission, Federal Trading Commission. You basically killing any competition on the market. It's the same reason.
Well,
that
It's both in different
Yeah,
ways,
because the thing is, what I'm talking about with the FCC
Uh-huh.
is that they regulate and they watch over basically, and that's the question of the Trade Commission, because it's like a lot of the stuff is all digital now.
Mhm.
Is that because I know a lot of the NBC stations or like sports stations,
Mhm.
they're Play.it. Play.it is a podcasting network
Mhm.
that's owned by I'm not sure who the owner is right now off the top of my head. I think it actually might be CBS. Because again, they advertise Play.it and they basically archive their shows onto that network.
Hmm.
And does the FCC have any regulation over that? Even though it was originally aired on the radio and it goes somewhere onto, then it gets put up like, like they could put a
Yeah.
censored version on the radio, but do they
Right.
have to put a censored version on the internet.
Well,
I'm
as-
pretty sure they're free from regulation when it's digital content available on demand.
So and then that's the question of when we start regulating the internet
as
or
it
media on
stands
the internet.
Right now, I think that the way you described it is right. They can do that.
Yeah.
But will there be a time when they get a hold of? I'm sure they would love to.
Well, I mean, at this point, I think that's what they're trying to do. That's what happened with the was part of it. What was happening with the free internet, with regulating different types of content, and that was more towards distributors and how they're distributing the internet and how they're distributing feeds and stuff like that, comparing it to how much what was actually on there. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the thing is, people don't like their government in their pleasure devices.
Yeah, I guess the Apple case will be a huge.
No, that's something completely different.
It's different in the sense, but I mean, if we have a precedent that we'll see that federal government.
But the thing is, you're talking about something that's encryption, and this has nothing. Because the thing is, if anything we're talking about falls under the First Amendment.
No, what I'm saying is, like right now in people's mind, what's happening there? It's a government trying to envision to get in there.
But the thing is, they already are. The thing is, people keep forgetting is that there've already been 3 laws passed. Now, granted, the last one was passed in 1970, but it still applies to anything internet. That's why there was already sort of a precedent for them to president. Am I saying that right? Precedent. For them to actually already have that information, and that's why Apple was willing to comply to a certain extent. And now the FCC, Apple, and the FBI are battling out because they don't want a new precedent set.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying, I'm not talking about the legal aspects. I'm talking about public reaction. So basically, after this case, if FCC tries to regulate internet, the public outcry will be stronger because people already kind of on topic and they have the sense that they get pushed to share their personal information or limited their freedom.
The thing is, I think we might. I don't know if we're going to see regulation over the entire internet with the FCC and stuff like that. Because again, we kind of already have that. When you really look at that, when you look at a porn site, I'm not saying everyone here looks at a porn site, but I'm just saying when you look at that, there's an age gate for that. Same thing when you're buying alcohol, tobacco, anything over the internet. Again, you can't always do that, but even then, it's also there are ways around it.
And yet, you can buy guns online.
Right, but the thing is, again, you still have to go through the process. They have to be of age.
True.
You a 13-year-old.
Actually, well,
depends
never
on
mind.
state.
13-year-old. Yep, I knew somebody who was underage and was still buying guns.
And
They were making a crap load of money doing it.
It's also a question of were they lying? Were they purging
probably,
themselves?
They probably were, but that's the thing is it's really easy to do that.
It is, but
It's just like how many people you say that there's an age gate for porn sites. There's also an age gate for viewing trailers for mature video games on Steam.
There is.
And you leave it as January 1st, you grab the year, you scroll the wheel real hard until it lands on 1924, and then you hit go.
No, but
it's not real.
But but the thing is
that's security theater.
The thing is, it's true, but at the same time, when someone complains about that, is that was there.
Yeah.
And so again, that's why I say purging, because basically you're lying.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying is like when you click yes, I'm 18 when you're not 18. I mean, nothing bad's gonna happen, but if something bad happens and you get caught or something like that,
exactly, it limits their liability.
Exactly. Well. And that's what I'm saying is that I think there are going to be channels through the internet, and I don't think YouTube's gonna fall in. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna fall in line with it, but I think there are gonna be places where it's gonna be like, okay, this is restricted, or we already have that on the internet.
Yeah, but YouTube does that internally too.
I mean, there are age gates on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I mean, the things we're thinking about that now. Thing is that a commissioner like the FCC or anything like that, it's set up when people can't do it themselves. I think the internet's been really good on policing themselves when it comes to this kind of content, towards like it's labeled explicit or it's there and people know about it before they're getting into it. Yeah, again, disclosure.
Well, actually, I agree, but I'm not quite agree with the point that it's self-regulated. Like let's say in case of YouTube, they have all this regulation because they also have all the foreign markets where the law is more strict, and they don't want to have different system for like domestic market, foreign market in one country, foreign market in another country.
The thing is, a lot of times there is. The thing is, that's why you could choose what kind of YouTube you're looking at. No, is that you could be looking at the general YouTube, you could be looking at a specific YouTube to the United States, you'd be looking at a specific YouTube to Pakistan or to India.
It has additional restrictions, but they
generalized.
Yeah, they look at all the markets and they see what's the in average rules for every single market, and they just make the basics the same, so there's less bureaucracy for them to deal with.
Yeah, I mean it's Google. They want to be everywhere.
Yeah,
and you can't fault them for that.
All right. Sorry, I just at a certain point didn't have anything else to say about that discussion.
Right.
And I mean, like.
Oh, we're back to it.
No, okay, we can move on.
All right, awesome.
If you have more to say, I don't want to stifle you.
No, I was gonna say that everyone says it's sad, but just because it's CBS radio, that was one of the first ones. But honestly, people don't really listen to radio, and
it's funny because I actually KNX is one of the large stations that I listen to. Is actually a CBS sound station. So
well, regardless, though, it's just evolution. All business industries, business goes through exactly the same thing, and it's there's a sense of nostalgia, but the content and the formats that are on now. 100% different than anything that they started with.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
And they evolve. It's not like longshoremen in Maine where the industry just dies because they don't need it anymore.
Well, no, I mean, when you again look at Motorola, famous American tech company that created the cell phone. It was they put the revolution into the cell phone. Reason why the U.S. had the cell phone. Bought up by China, and now making crappy phones. So it happens, and everyone's sad to see it. But guess what? Just because they bought the now company doesn't mean they get changed the past.
The one thing I think once we have all these changes in radio and it gets to 100% saturation, I think radio will be the ones that probably make the biggest innovation currently in the way that we stream, because I think they're going to have to end up there if they want to keep surviving. As far as terrestrial radio and all that technology, AM and FM distribution, it's a thing in the past. Like it's still existing, but nobody's teaching it. Everything in radio technology wise is going all computer based, all streaming.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that we made again, not many people remember, we made the move over to HD radio not too long ago.
Yeah. But you know what? It really hasn't done what they thought it was going to do.
But the thing is, I mean, it's a different type of signal though, right?
Yeah, it's a different type. It's like a hybrid.
Yeah. Okay. But again, I think that's what I was kind of referring to is that it's becoming a little bit more digital. It's not the same.
No, not at all. You're absolutely right.
Not the same old, just normal radio frequencies.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, I have a thought, like, isn't radio still technically the most, I wouldn't say practical, but
affordable?
Yeah. Is it
affordable is the wrong word. I say cheap.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean by cheap. Like, isn't it still like, no matter what ends up happening, you could always be like, oh, we could still do radio. Like,
but the thing is,
it's always a fallback to go back to, because if like computers all fail, we still have radio waves.
Yeah,
just like in the thought, like, I don't know.
But the thing is, what we were just talking about is how radio is it still?
Yeah, it's not much.
It's getting weird to keep holding this in.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're playing
musical microphones over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, this was not.
So, Garen.
Yes.
What's news in your world?
Switching mics. All right. I think you probably have the same news. Microsoft. Xbox One, PS4.
Ah, yes.
Meld and do Fusion dance.
No. I wish they did the Fusion dance. It's more like Xbox was like, hey, come play in our garden because your console's selling better. And PlayStation was like,
don't you want to come to
But
our
that's the same
party?
thing when Goku was like, Vegeta, we're all going to die if you don't do this and help us out. And he's like, all right, fine. And then like...
Kind of, but the thing is that Vegeta wasn't like, okay, fine. Vegeta or PlayStation 4 in this case, or Sony.
Is that what we're doing it now? Like...
It was, yeah, exactly, right. was basically like, meh, we're kind of doing all right, and like we're creating all these innovative things, and we don't really need any of your stuff. So, womp womp, womp womp.
Mm-hmm. I was excited, and I was very.
I was too until I heard Sony's response. Sony's
response was like a lack of response.
Was so flat, and basically said we've been doing this for years with PC. Screw off.
Right, and all the PC users were just like on their pedestal.
So you can play Sony with PC.
Sony with X, there are certain games that do it, like Final Fantasy 11 on the PS2. Back in 2002, was able to be cross-platform. There have been other games in the history. I remember a few of them. Lost Planet, I think, was one of them.
Yes. Yeah.
So basically, then, what's the problem? Because from my knowledge, PC platform and Xbox platform are very similar.
But the thing is that those are only two games in the history of PlayStation that have done it.
I see.
Yeah.
Nothing current does it.
They're trying to establish like a large canon of games that could.
So like, the way I think it should be done is the platforms are still individual from each other, but you have an I don't want to say internet provider because that sounds really bad. Or you have another but a third company come in that's basically the network service for both.
Like the server where all the games, like the virtual worlds of the games.
Basically, they would make it so that the two systems or the two games could make it, and so basically that's how Sony's response is that they don't care what Xbox says. They don't want to hear from Xbox. But if a game developer came to them and said, we want to do this, they'd be like, okay, we would consider it and maybe hear you out.
I see.
Right, but what I think would just be the logical thing to do personally, like, and that wouldn't have to do any major changes. You know how there's games that are not exclusive to me. You could get them on the Xbox One or PS4 or whatever.
The thing is,
instead of doing that, why don't you just
months,
make them cross-platform games and then keep the other titles that are exclusive to their companies exclusive to their companies?
But the thing is that's what they want to do. Like if you look at the last 3 months of PS4 or Xbox One games, what has been exclusive?
Well, the thing is, it's not financially viable to have an exclusive anymore, because in order to have an exclusive, the company has to pay. Like Sony has to come in and say, we want this on PlayStation 4, and that's it.
Right.
And Naughty Dog, for example, although I think Naughty Dog has a deal with them, but let's say that Naughty Dog was making
they're a
games,
Sony company.
They would come in and say, okay, we stand to make $500 million on Xbox sales. You have to give us $750 million to incentivize us not to do that.
Let's look back on Bungie, for example.
Yeah,
Bungie's
exactly.
a huge example of that.
Exactly.
Like not just Bungie, like just like when you talk about Halo and when you talk about other game titles like Gears of War, like those titles made Microsoft and Xbox like household names because those were really great games.
And that was at the time when Xbox was a fledgling
newcomer.
I mean, it was the first Gears of War was on the 360, wasn't it?
It wasn't even on the Xbox One.
Yeah, so the first Xbox came around and it barely made it, and it squeaked by with rudimentary online.
The thing is, a lot of people who own PCs loved the Xbox One. For that specific reason, is it was the Xbox One. I mean,
right. I mean, you
you
could crack the first Xbox open and tweak a couple of chips and install Windows on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was like a really powerful gaming computer.
Yeah.
But the other thing it's also funny to think about is that all the exclusive games for PlayStation at the time, at least from my observation, were Japanese games, or like at least in Japanese companies that made these games.
Kind of based, yeah.
Like all the Budokai games, the Dragon Ball games are exclusive for PlayStation until maybe like 3 years ago.
Oh, that reminds me. And
so whenever PlayStation 2 became debunked or like defective.
Well, the PlayStation 2 lasted 10 years.
Yeah, which was
a long time for a
console ever. Like right? No, the Wii hasn't like outdone that,
again.
Right?
No, it hasn't. The thing is, what you have to also remember is that the Xbox wasn't exactly sold in Japan either.
No, it wasn't.
They tried, but it didn't.
Yeah,
work.
not till later in its life.
No, the first Xbox was like
that was
so
purely
rocky.
European and American kind of console.
Yeah, I even heard that when they got Xbox One, they had a special marketing strategy for Japan. So they basically had everything. For everyone else, it was one marketing strategy.
Right.
And they tried to get to that market very hard.
Well, I mean, the thing is, again, when you look at the rest of the world, we all know of Nintendo and stuff like that, and PlayStation. But the thing is, again, Xbox did a really good job on forcing itself in. I can see that's why probably they didn't work in Japan, because you had the PlayStation, the PlayStation 2, Game Boy, and many variations of Game Boy, Nintendo consoles, the GameCube.
Well, their market and their interests are different, and they're also distrustful of Western stuff. I mean, RPGs alone is what separates the East from the West in the style of game that we do. Japan doesn't really do shooters. We do a lot of shooters. And our RPGs are split completely because of our culture. In Japan, every RPG is like, hey, do you want to save the village? Yes or no? You say no, and they say, but you have to. And they won't let you go until you say yes. And Western RPGs are all about exploration because it's the wild Western frontier that we formed this country on. So their strategies are totally, goddamn right it is.
I learned something.
So their philosophies are entirely different. And they just don't, like, the things that are strong selling points in America for games just don't resonate out there. They don't even have guns. Barely in Japan, they barely have guns. They don't care about shooters.
Facebook doesn't have any popularity there.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's because they have different social means and stuff like that as well.
And because their philosophy of social media consumerism is different, they don't put their personal life to the public. It's against their cultural
Well, the thing
values.
is, some of the old people are, but we could say that same thing about our generation as well. Is that when you're looking at who's using Facebook and social media, it's a lot of the millennials and the younger people in Generation Z and what it is called now?
Gen Z.
Yeah, right.
Gen Z.
Well,
They haven't figured out our name yet. They're still young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're only
millennials because they found out roughly where the group of similar people ended was like, oh, somewhere around 2000, millennials.
They're probably like start babies.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're that or Crash Baby on it. We'll figure. I mean, either way, the thing is, I think that's going to change for Japan as well. But I mean, either way, I think Microsoft's trying to do something interesting.
I think
And Sony's
extend the olive branch.
No, but
yeah, and Sony's being very Apple about
it
this.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
That's what
It doesn't
it
make
is.
any sense for Sony to do that.
Because
Yeah, it does. It makes all the sense.
Well-
It's because the thing is that when you're looking at it, one of the, and it's still to this day, and I don't know the exact numbers on it because I didn't do the 100% research, but the PlayStation Network ain't that hot. Is that the amount of people using PlayStation Network, especially now that you have to pay for it, not as much as the Xbox. Xbox people are forced to use it, so everyone has it.
Mhm.
As we're not, I mean, Sony, you kind of do have to now if you want to do anything online,
Mhm.
but it's still optional.
like I think that's why, and mainly that's why Microsoft like kind of got ahead of the game initially whenever the 360 came out, because they didn't pioneer it, but they were the first ones to get close to kind of solidifying an idea of what multiplayer games are.
Well, but that's the thing is that they had those games that you wanted to play online.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You had the Halo and the Gears of War that you wanted to play,
Call of Duty 4
and then they had
everything
exclusives on that.
Yeah.
And now Sony has exclusives
Mhm.
on a lot of those
Plus,
shooters.
they got in on it early. Like I said, they had rudimentary online with Xbox with some of those Mech Warrior games where you could,
360. I mean,
you
with
could
the original,
compete, compete with. Well, I don't know if the original Halo have online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Halo 2 did.
Got it. I don't remember. I know, but Halo 1 had solid multiplayer. So they kind of backwards engineered that, where they said, hey, you remember that really fun multiplayer that you could only play on a split screen with your annoying brother? Well, what if you wanted to play it with somebody that was across the planet? Well, now you can.
No, that's right. And I remember the Xbox actually had, you had to play the monthly subscription for the.
Not very many people were on it because it was very clunky at the time.
I think there were a decent amount of people, because I know I was playing NASCAR games with people.
Yeah, but now, like, also looking at Sony and their marketing strategy, they're trying to get more than just video games. They go more for like media center.
Well, Xbox is doing that too, actually.
No, and the thing that we talked about this on last week's show, and I disagree with you a little bit on that. To just the fact that when especially when they both came out, PlayStation 4 was seen as just a solely gaming platform.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you own a PlayStation 4, but there ain't much media about it. Like, period.
No.
It's pure video game.
Yeah.
It'll network with your home network if you've got a media center like on your computer, but
that's why they had better initial sales, is because their pitch was so much better. At
Oh
E3.
yeah,
they sold that console.
It was pure.
Like
it was purer than Xbox was. Xbox was very multimedia.
Yeah,
and then that's what I was talking about last week. Sitting here, like, I kind of want that now, but at the same time, like, I don't know.
But right now, Sony has Sony View, which is a subscription for TV.
Yeah, for TV.
Yeah, which Xbox still doesn't have.
No, but the thing is, Xbox works through your actual cable box.
Mm-hmm.
So you can plug in. You can plug your feed.
And they know that most Americans have cable.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, the PlayStation View, again, it's a disruption service, and as far as I know, it's not exactly doing so hot.
Yeah, it's $50 a month.
It's really weird. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds.
Well, no, I don't know what kind of package you're looking at. The one I was looking at was I think 17.
No, there's one $39.99 that includes 60 channels, and if you want some like more harder channels, it goes up to $50, and then $60 is premium channel. But I mean, it's basically you get the same cable, and I'm pretty sure that your login is not working for on-demand watching on the websites of the networks. So
I don't know, like I think like just reading that reading into the whole Sony thing, it just sounds really like weirdly elitist, because you're not like, if you're the last two company, like you're basically like the two of the last 3 or 4 major giants left. Why it sounds very petty to not want to be like, yo, like we're done. There's no way anybody can compete with us. Let's just cross platform and like at least have some games that everybody could play. And they're like, I don't know.
So yeah, no. So if I'm sorry, just go really quick back on this.
Yeah.
The 60+ channels is $39.99 a month. The core, which is $75, which is $44 a month, and then the elite is $54.99 a month. The thing is, that's on par with normal cable too. And just to kind of move on a little bit and go to another story that happened this week that kind of relates to this is and I don't have it up. The stalling time. This is the stalling time.
We need a song. We need a song called "Killing Time" or "Stalling for Airtime."
Killing time. It's not that I don't have the rhymes.
Do you have rights?
I don't know.
Styrofoam.
I think he's making that up.
Oh yeah, that's against the
Time.
Garen original.
Killing time.
We should get Avo and
Yeah.
the other
Yeah,
guy whose name I can never remember. Daniel.
If Avo and Daniel were in the room with me, they're probably like
Just ask them
just
like, hey,
tackle me
we need
and
a
tell me to
30-second song, a 30-second really annoying
a
song
jingle.
to kill time.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
literally about
kill it.
stalling.
Just
for
give me some
airtime.
chords on the guitar.
Just like
That's all we need.
Go from a D down to a C, give me an A minor, and then back to a D.
You know, I might. Well,
and everything will be fine.
give me like 2 months. I might be able to write that jingle because
2 months.
this is
Garen, I
what-
need that now.
Well,
I have to stall for airtime right freaking now.
I can sing ad libs until then.
What?
Okay. Fair
Like,
enough.
because funny thing, one of my friends, she went to Ellen a couple of times.
Like the
Just
show?
a show, yeah.
Okay.
Like, and so one time she got a gift. I think her mom went, and they both got gifts.
Mhm.
And the 2 gifts were 2 free acoustic guitars with
Jesus.
free lessons from Guitar Center, like 10 free lessons. It's like worth like $500, and like they got her
That's
free.
not that. There's no
And
slouch
they're
of
trying to
riff.
get rid of it, and I'm just like, I'll buy it off you
For $100?
for like like a little.
No,
bit.
you could go to Target, get the Adam Levine guitar for like $60.
If I'm not gonna get the Adam Levine
I-
guitar.
You know- you know
It's
what's
a plain
funny?
guitar.
Well,
It's a
I-
plain
it's a
acoustic
nice
guitar.
Fender acoustic guitar. It's a really cool guitar, and there's free lessons. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be in summer school anyway. I might as well learn how to play guitar, so I can write us a jingle,
This reminds me of.
and we can do backing vocals and record it.
So anyways,
I was,
Yes, what were you saying? Sorry, what was your news?
Oh, wait, he
Go
reminded
for
me
it.
of a story. I was
Go ahead.
dating a
Sorry.
girl named Becca, and some dude really, really wanted to get newer pants while I was dating her. And all of a sudden, she had this guitar. I'm like, where'd this guitar come from? She's like, oh, some guy that wants to F my brains out bought it for me. Like it was some kind of romantic gesture. I don't play guitar. I know you do. You can have it. I'm like, oh, cool. It was like a $35 guitar. It was like the cheapest, crappiest guitar. The neck is already bent, and I've never played it. It's been sitting on a stand, and it just bent over time. Like moisture in the air
I
bent
know
it.
what we're gonna use that for. We're
Let's
using
smash
for
it over
prop.
somebody's head.
Prop. We're definitely using that for a prop. Anyway,
so Phil, basically, there's been this huge kind of rumble now because the Game Developers Conference
yes.
Oh yeah.
was around this time. It was also why the news of Xbox sending the olive branch to Sony happened in this time. There was also these weird rumors that some developers at the conference were working around a new version of the PlayStation, a 4.5, PlayStation 4.5.
What?
Did you not hear about this?
No, I did
Breaking
not.
news to Garen, everybody. So we might be getting a PlayStation 4.5.
This doesn't
What?
actually surprise me. This is not a bad.
What,
rumor.
like a slim or like?
No.
No, because I think
4K.
It was Sony was saying.
Oh.
Not recently, but sometime within the last 2 years, that the day and age of releasing a console every 5 years to be dramatically different is done. And what's more likely to happen is they're going to be just modularly, incrementally increasing the capabilities of one flagship console that just evolves over time, like the iPhone, where every year we get a slightly better PlayStation.
Right, but
But
that
no,
only
but
works if
eventually
the
moves
consoles
forward.
are insanely cheaper than they are now.
That-
Well, that's also part of it.
The thing is,
to keep them
yeah,
cheap.
again, a lot of people are comparing that to like the 3DS model, the
Yeah, the new
DS.
3DS.
Right,
the
but that's
Nintendo DS model.
The thing is, R&D for something like that, while it's more expensive to like for production because of having to change the lines and having designers stuff like that, R&D for that is a little bit cheaper because you're making smaller adjustments rather than saying, all right, we have to have something revolutionary. It's got to be like smaller
Right, but
incremental,
the
like
whole-
bigger hard drives, faster processors, so they can evolve the console as the technology increases as well.
Right,
Right,
but that's why those things, the way the consoles work now, I think they work pretty fine for the reason that because there's such a space, it allows a company to really actually do good research and build.
That's what they've been saying has been a problem is that especially now since the consoles have been hurting, sales have been way down.
Yeah.
Comparatively. I mean, they've gone up a little bit. Like in 2012, they were in the 4 millions. Basically, I'm sorry, 4 billions on again, and this is just for the US.
Mhm.
And it's on
Video
Sony?
game hardware total spent $1 billion in 2012. I'm sorry, in 2009 it was $7 billion. It dropped in 2012 to $4 billion, and then raised a little bit higher in 2015 to about 4.5 billion.
And the thing about it too is it creates a giant void when it comes to developing. Because
Yes.
whenever these consoles come out, there's like 6 to 10 developers that get kits early, and they can have games come out immediately. Those games are usually ports of the previous generation, and for the first 2 to 3 years, everything that comes out is just a prettier version of a game that was out on the previous generation, because they haven't learned how to do it. It's not until 5 or 6 years go by, when they've had time to develop natively in that new environment and really sink their teeth in, release 2 bad games, and then release the one that they've been spending 5 years on, that we start to get really, really, really good games that are worth buying the console.
And by the time that happens, there's already a new console.
And they're on the way, exactly. That's why games like, oh, damn. I used to have good examples from the previous generation. I don't have any off the top of my head now. But there's a number of great games, like genre-defining, era-defining games that came out for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 that didn't come out until like year 6. I don't remember any of them right now.
Right, and that's what's like, but wouldn't that be more of an incentive to even like space out longer? Because
and yet at the same time they get stale, and PC gaming is constantly evolving.
10 years, right? And the thing is, they didn't even talk about PC gaming, because that's all another.
They never want to talk about PC.
They never want to talk about it, and yet most of these developers develop for the PC first.
Well, no, but
because it's easy.
But the thing is that they don't see that as competition. They see competition more in the realm of mobile gaming,
right?
Of like iPads and iPhones,
because that's low overhead and everybody has one.
Yeah,
right. But let's look at the downside of that. Like, I mean, this thing that Apple users dealing right now, that every year a new software comes out.
Again, that's starting to show its wear as well, and people are kind of being blind to it. Because right now, again, the average cycle now for a console is about 10 years.
Which makes sense. So they can develop, they can finish it,
right.
People can use it, people can experience everything. They can make adjustments. Because I mean, that's the thing that I read an article about. Like, a lot of people start complaining about iOS system, and the tech, like people who know that, they're saying, well, just because Apple developers don't have time to create a new system, they don't have time. Like, let's say when Windows 10 came out, it was built from scratch. They had time to rethink everything.
Right. That's why we didn't. That's why and the thing is that happened with, again, not from scratch, but a lot of times with Windows software. Yeah. That's why it took time to develop, because there were large changes into how everything worked.
Yeah, exactly. And if like video game consoles will be coming out every year, they will be in a rush, so they will be used the same code.
Right. I mean, and that's the other problem, is that then you run into another issue of, is it backwards compatible? Is something that comes out on the newer version compatible with the older version? Because the thing is, when you think of something that happened before, like with the PlayStation 3, you had the classic PlayStation 3, then you had the non-backwards compatible, then you had the Slim.
Oh, that was a freaking insane.
But the thing is,
you had to like flip the damn thing over and look at the serial number to figure out what you could play and what you couldn't play.
Yeah, seriously, that was so stupid.
But the thing is, but even then, is that all those internals, while they might have been different sizes, they were all compatible with each other.
Right.
If you start creating something that has greater processing power and greater X and Y and Z, it becomes a problem. And the other rumor that's been flying around, and it's logical, that again, it's the PlayStation, the current PlayStation 4 could do 4K audio and video. Okay. It could output that, no problem. Okay. It cannot do the graphical processing of 3D rendering in 4K.
Well, that's an intense amount of data.
It is. And so they're basically saying that, again, the 4.5, for lack of a better name at this point, will be able to handle that outputting into, because again, 4K TVs now are becoming cheaper and more readily available in people's houses. They're also saying that the 4.5 or the 4K version of the PlayStation 4 is also being built for the VR that's going to be coming out. That was also announced at the Game Developers Conference. It's going to be selling for $499 for just the headset and about, I think, 8 games. Actually, I'm not sure if the games are included. And for an extra $100, you get the PlayStation Eye and the 2 PlayStation Move controllers. So you could actually do all the moving stuff with the new PlayStation.
That would be a good deal, like kind of like.
That's actually super expensive.
But actually, on the scale of VR, that's actually relatively cheap, because the thing is here, because if you're looking at HTC and Valve's version, that you have to have a super beefy computer run. So not only are you paying $800 for the hardware of the VR, you also have to pay another $3,000 to get your PC up to spec.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense now why they're doing that.
It does, but here's the other problem. Does that mean that the V won't work on the current PlayStation?
No.
Does that mean you have to also pay $600 plus another $300 for the new PlayStation?
No, I get that. I was talking about that. I was talking about like that makes more sense about the Xbox, the Microsoft thing now is because they're like, hey, like why don't we do something? And they're holding the 4.5 behind their backs. Oh yeah, that.
And that's the thing is that
that's probably what's going on because they have this plan and now Microsoft's coming in like, hey, let's try to figure something out, and they're like, you're gonna fuck up our shit. Sorry, and like,
Garrett.
Sorry,
we've only been on here for half an hour. You broke the seal.
That's honestly half an hour longer than I thought I'd go. So they're gonna F up our S, and this is not gonna work out. So they already had a plan. That the one thing that was gonna make them more exclusive again by selling this kind of bundle or package is gonna get screwed over by this kind of cross-platforming thing.
Well, that's the thing is that Phil Spencer, who basically kind of was talking about the Xbox One, would also be seeing incremental updates. Essentially, these plans are an attempt to totally upset the concept of console generations and future break down the barrier between machines like the PS4 and the rest of the panoply of personal computing options available to us. So basically, again, they're wanting to actually go in and update the Xbox One to handle different things, again, to be 4K compliant and to do all these different crazy things.
Right.
I think what they need to do, and we might see this at E3, and I don't know if it's even a concept in their minds, but start making these consoles actually modular.
Yeah.
Is that's when you say if they're gonna be doing this, if they're gonna be making us pay $600, $400, $500, $300 for these consoles, they need to be able to be upgradable. And they've been really avoiding that now.
Well,
I mean,
that's the whole point of the one size fits all, because that's the point of selling it to the people that are maybe gaming enthusiasts but not gaming
casuals.
Casuals. Is that you buy the thing and you buy the games and you never have to think about it. But the more it expands, even down to like having 3 different kinds of iPhones, the bigger it gets, the harder it is to make sure it works everywhere. And the question then becomes, do you handicap your game so that the lowest rung people can play it and you screw your hardcore people? Or do you make the game, as hardcore as Crysis was when it first came out, and the people on the low end just get screwed and can't play the really great game?
Or do you screw developers and have to force them to create 3 different games?
Exactly, and that's the other problem, is that there's a lot of good developers out there, and this happens in the gaming world all the time, where they're essentially forced to make the game compatible for 4K because 5% of the population that is a PC gamer can handle 4K and wants 4K, and the other 95% don't care, but the developers need to do it anyway.
Well, perfect example is Rocksteady Gaming, and with the Arkham City,
whichever one came out that was terrible.
No, the most recent one.
Yeah.
The thing is, the game was great.
Arkham City was a good. It was
That's a Batman one, right?
Yes.
Arkham Knight was the last one.
Okay, so Arkham Knight again,
or
whatever. Either way, the most recent Batman game that came out on the consoles ran amazing. Perfect.
Yeah, but
on the PC that was done by a third party
because they paid somebody else to port it and they couldn't do it.
Freaking
they absolutely
steaming pile of crap.
I think the bad game you were thinking of was Origins. I think that was like
no, I was talking about I meant the PC version specifically.
Yeah, I mean they even refunded all the money and they closed the project.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they had to.
No, the thing is they eventually fixed it kinda. Because the main company actually went and started patching it, but they were still offering refunds for people who just didn't want to do it.
But it was like patching, like it was like an epidemic. Like
it was bad.
Really
on launch, and then the thing is that
people were freaking out of the office.
And that's the thing is that these people bought the game thinking that this was developed by the original studio that did all the Batman games that also came out on PC and that were really good. And then when everything started going to crap, everyone's like, "Oh no, this wasn't us. Calm down. Why are you blaming us? This wasn't us." It's like, wait, when did you say that it wasn't you? That's kind of like the whole backhanded thing here is that the thing is
sure they were accused though. I mean, because it's only logical to accuse them.
They were accused, but they deflected to the company that actually did it instead of when they were actually marketing the game. They never said, and the PC port was done by this person.
Yeah,
and maybe they did, and like in little fine print letters.
Yeah, like when a copyright goes, it's like distributed by this and produced by that.
Yeah,
but it's the same thing if Universal Pictures says, this bad movie is bad because it was done not by us, we just bought the distribution.
Right, yeah, well, basically it was this studio that actually did the
if you put your label on something, you take all responsibility for what's
you don't take all of it, but you become associated with it.
Can I segue with that?
Absolutely.
I got a great one. Gawker Media.
Yes.
We got to talk about Gawker. For those of you listening that don't know, and I think everybody in this room does except Sigurd, you're looking at me a little blank. You know what's going on?
I have no idea.
Okay, Hulk Hogan. You know Hulk Hogan, this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, had a sex tape, and Gawker put it online and refused to take it down, and he sued them for $100 million, and he won. And it's probably going to bankrupt the company, but whatever. And the thing that I find amazing about this, I just burned through that story really fast.
Yeah, I was about to say.
The thing
Thanks
that I
for the
find
details.
amazing about this is Gawker's approach to the Jennifer Lawrence nude photo thing.
Right.
Because Jezebel, which is a website that's owned by Gawker, Gawker has a whole just load of blogs. There's Jezebel, IO9, Kotaku, Gawker itself, Gizmodo. That's 5 off the top of my head, but I know they've got one about cars. And they've got
it's not like a porn network, right?
No,
I'm sorry?
No.
Not a porn network.
It's a blog. It's a blogger.
Okay.
Yeah. These are news blogs.
Okay.
And that's right. I named them, but I didn't say what they did. I'm sorry. Anyway, Jezebel's one that usually focuses on women's issues. And now, while I will admit it's a different blog, it's not Gawker specifically, but it's owned by Gawker, so technically it's Gawker's fault.
I'm just gonna really quickly go. Deadspin, Gawker, Gizmodo.
They do Deadspin. Deadspin's Hollywood News, right?
Jetblock, Jezebel, Kotaku, Lifehacker,
I like that one.
Kininja, Crosstalk, Sidespin, Gizmodo, and IO9. I already said that. Opposite Lock, The Powder Room, Click, and Australian.
Jesus. So way more than even I knew about, honestly. Anyway, so Jezebel was defending Jennifer Lawrence, which, I mean, you should, because it's that kind of scandals, like, without getting into issues of consent, it's like kind of a bad thing. Problem is, Gawker, the website, the blog, Gawker specifically, Gawker, not one of the ones that's owned by them, put up the Hulk Hogan sex tape and then said, we're not going to take this down. Oh, by the way, everybody should go watch this. And other blogs on Gawker's network said, by the way, over at Gawker, watch Hulk Hogan bang somebody. And they kept like round the clock just being like, look at this, forcing it in everybody's face. And then he had a lawyer and a judge ruled, like, you guys got to take this down. And they said, we were told to take this down by a judge and we're not going to, and here's why. And so they were very hypocritical in their treatment of Hulk Hogan versus their treatment.
Insanely arrogant too.
Yeah,
like if you
so
watch the
arrogant.
tapes, yeah.
Like, even they were live streaming the trial because they were so confident that they were going to win. And the minute that they lost, they stopped, and they have not come out and talked about the verdict yet. Like, they're burying their heads in the sand and scrambling to come up with, I think they have a $50 million bond that they owe Hulk Hogan by the end of the month, something like that. It says it somewhere in this article. It's a lot longer than just the details about what I'm describing. They go into the whole history of the entire trial. And I just think this is hilarious.
They're going to go broke. Like, that's it.
They're going to appeal it, and they're going to try and fight it as best as they can, but I doubt that it's going to work in their favor.
Like,
because this was a jury, by the way. This wasn't a judge saying you guys had to do it. This was a jury saying we find Gawker to be guilty.
In violation,
and the judge then said $115 million. Here you go.
That's in compensatory. Damages, and now they're also going to decide at the end of March on punitive. Because 115 was just the first part.
Oh,
so it's probably going to be more money.
Yeah, they're going to do. It would not be worth fighting back. Just go bankrupt. You're not like, I'm not kidding.
No, it would be worse for them to try to fight back and get all the media buzz.
They are media, and so they'll spin it on.
No, right, but how much the traffic increased on their blogs since all this trial went on?
That's hard to say because their traffic's actually been on a downward spiral ever since the guy that owned Gawker turned Gawker into a political blog.
Well, the thing is, they've also unionized. They're part of the. Oh, where is it? I just had it.
That doesn't seem like it's beneficial for the guy who owns Gawker.
Writers Guild of America East.
Oh, ouch.
Interesting.
No. 3/4 employee and eligible to vote in favor of the decision.
It seems like if they'd have unionized back before they got sued, they probably all could have gone on strike and been like, take this video down, we're going on strike.
Yeah.
Thing is, Gawker's a huge website. It's a huge network, and they've got a lot of writers. And so even when I say like, oh, Gawker said this on one website and then said this on another, I'm looking at the screenshot of all the articles. It's a different writer on every single one of these articles.
Well, yeah, the editorial staff.
Yeah.
And again, this was recent, 2015. This whole thing started in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
God. I didn't even know that. That's
But what's your opinion on that, guys? Do you think?
My opinion on it is, Garen broke the seal already. My opinion is fuck him, because that's not cool. Gawker.
Got it.
And I don't typically like them anyway, although I have sourced plenty of my news from them because they are a somewhat reliable news source. And it's not to say that just because Gawker as an entity is bad, that every single writer on the staff is bad. But more often than not, it's clickbait nonsense, or it's poorly written, or it's an opinion piece disguised as fact.
So just really quickly to kind of tie all of this together, everything we've been talking about the past 30 minutes, 40 minutes. The 4.5, the claim that Sony's going to make a 4K version,
that's right,
was leaked from Kotaku. Kotaku was the original source of all the articles where everyone else was sourcing it.
They're Gawker's gaming blog.
Yes. And so basically
frequently incorrect in their information.
When another source came in and kind of started talking about it, they're like, when you actually look at the facts and what they're actually saying is that this person overheard a few developers at the Game Developers Conference, and they weren't even talking to them.
Yeah.
It's not like it came out in an interview or it was behind closed doors. And it's all the thing is, some people were talking about doing this thing where, again, they might have been misquoted, misspoken. They might have been talking about something else as to why, again, maybe they're doing something 4K or some kind of breakout box 4K for the VR.
He might have even said, I just bought a 4K TV. You know what I mean? 9 times out of 10, when you see a rumor on the internet on a blog that says we have an unclaimed source or we have an anonymous tip or whatever, it's a rumor invented by the guy who wrote the article because he needed to drum up views.
Yeah,
because it's all unsubstantiated.
It's only very few times where it's actually like, oh
because
my God,
because web journalism's not hard hitting, and these guys are nobodies, and their names carry no weight. So nobody is coming to them saying, I've got you an anonymous tip. Every once in a while you get some gold, like when Gawker or when Gizmodo got a hold of the iPhone 4 before it came out.
Yeah.
And Apple was like, give it back, and they said no. And they were perfectly within their right to do that. And then it was the mistake of the guy who lost the phone, and then they broke it down, and that's their bread and butter. It was a great story for them. But
that was their 10%.
Most web journalism is I don't want to say web journalism's bull, because that's not true, but more often than not, a rumor from an unknown source, from a source that's anonymous, is really just the guy he hasn't been getting enough hits and he needs a big headline. And so he comes up with something and says, I have a source. Yeah. And nobody does it.
And you see, this really makes me sad because, like, in journalism, there is a rule of 3 independent sources before you publish anything.
Exactly.
And now you see how all these big blogs, so like, let's say,
well, blogs have no integrity. That's the thing, because they didn't learn, a lot of them didn't learn journalism in the old school way, and so they didn't learn how to be like a newspaper journalist, to have, to worry about conflict of interest and to worry about ethics. They don't teach that. You pen a blog and you're witty and sarcastic, and somebody says, hey, write for me, because you're gonna get me web hits because you're saying things that are volatile or witty and sarcastic or whatever. And then the headline editor comes in and writes something inflammatory on a fluff piece. It's totally different. And if a newspaper did that, they'd get in trouble because there's rules against that sort of thing. But on the internet, it's the Wild West.
But then you see, I mean, even if it's an internet, you have like CNET and other sources that kind of medias.
Right, but they're also huge, and a lot of them come from media.
Yeah, but what they do...
There's also like the New York Times and the LA Times and the Press Telegram all have a web presence because they're real newspapers. These guys are blogs, and that's the big distinction.
No, but what I'm saying is all these big real medias, now they're using these blogs as a source of information, and they count them as a valid...
I mean, that's kind of the same that's happening now with Twitter and all these other sources.
Yeah.
Is that, again, they're becoming a source.
I mean, anything can be a source. It's just a question of how credible it is. And when you've got no integrity, your source, you as a source has no integrity. Like, okay, I'll give you that. We talked about Gamergate on here at one point. And the big thing about Gamergate that pissed everybody off, and it spiraled way out of control, and it got into a place that was just like way far removed from the original source. But the original idea was that there was no integrity in journalism, in gaming, on the internet, because the guys that were reporting and giving positive reviews to these games were accused of sleeping with the developer of the game, because it was one woman that worked on the game, and all these people were like, essentially it was a circle jerk, where they're all friends and they write about their stuff and they don't disclose that they're friends, but you can easily find it out because they didn't cover their tracks very well. And you can get fired for something like that in real news.
Yeah.
And you have to disclose that if you even do it. And usually you won't. Usually you won't say, by the way, I have a conflict of interest. Now let me report on the story. Usually it's like, no, you can't do that.
You know what's interesting is I think this is around the time of the internet now
Mhm.
where I don't think it's like a problem with the internet. I think it's because the internet now that it has this kind of weight is when we like people who are contributors to this platform kind of go like, all right, now we need to start making up some rules.
Well, no, the thing is,
it's the public demanding rules though, because these guys would be just as fine. They're trying to bury it. That's why all of them on the same day in like a coordinated attack released the same. It wasn't the same article, but all of these websites that were all accused of this thing,
basically
within 3 hours of each other,
to their audience.
Right, but there's a difference
between
between people like readers and stuff going like, or like the public in general going like, hey, this is messed up and all that stuff. And there's them trying to impose this and the journalists listening to this and going, okay, seriously, something's wrong.
But
we
they're
need
hacks.
to talk.
That's the thing, is that it doesn't benefit them to have rules, because what drives sales, what motivates them is page hits and clicks, because that's what gets them paid. And in the same way, you could say the same thing about newspapers, because a good story will sell papers. But journalists in the 40s, think about Citizen Kane journalism when he types up his declaration of whatever, they are in it for the facts. And I'm not saying that every single person that writes on the internet is a fraud. It's not true. But it's made it so easy, because the demand is so high for constant content, that they can hire a loser that's kind of funny to write for them and write poorly and having a strong opinion that's uninformed if it gets them clicks.
Right. And that would work, but like let's say like for the talk show kind of model, meaning that that would be cool if they got some guy who was like, hey, this guy's kind of like he's funny, has a really great voice in terms of like writing, and he's a good writer, but he's an idiot and doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
If we feed information, be like, here are all these facts that we as researchers got, and then now we want you to create a good article highlighting all these points. Then it would work, because it would keep people interested in journalism and in reading this stuff while simultaneously actually keeping people informed.
The thing is,
that's not what happens.
They're one-man bands.
But like they don't. You obviously have to trust your journalists, your writers to do their own research, but you also have to have a really good department for R&D.
But these guys don't have that
for research to be able to pump through.
And you know, these guys are not the problem. Problem are people who visiting this website.
And I was going to get to that, is that the public in general doesn't care, because they won't. First of all, if they read the article, they'll never question it. And I question everything that I read. I have to, because I do this.
You could also
damn
say
show.
It's a responsibility for people in general to have an idea of critical thinking, or
but a lot of them don't.
Skeptical.
And they read the thing and they're not skeptical, and that's assuming that they read the thing. But I'll tell you, the number of times I've seen somebody leave an ignorant comment on an article that's very clear they didn't read it, that they read the headline, saw the picture, and then made a judgment, didn't even realize, like, because I've seen sarcastic titles where the title comes up and it says, oh, this black thug does this, that, and the other thing. And they say, oh, they go on there, oh, these N-words, blah, 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 always doing that. And you open it up and it's literally like a gangster like rescuing a puppy, but it's described as if he did something horrible. And
just
so
clickbait.
Just to piss people off and to trick you. But the thing is, people will leave comments.
Which would be funny if it was The Onion, like where people know that, like, oh,
well,
right,
I think it's like Clickhole and Mashup or whatever. I think other websites do that. Thing is, you can tell that the person leaving the comment didn't read the article. They read the first paragraph, if anything. And I'm guilty of having done that as well, where I read the headline and I have an opinion about it, and then I write a comment and I stop and I say, wait a minute, let me make sure that I'm not about to make an ass of myself.
Right.
Yeah, and I read the article and it turns out that my comment is wildly inaccurate, flagrantly, in fact, inaccurate. And it's just a problem with consuming media in bite-sized Twitter chunks
instead of really like reading and analyzing.
I mean, nowadays most people get their news and their information about certain events on Facebook through those Now This videos, where it's like a minute long, and it's like a minute long version of a paragraph about an event over footage, because it like sucks you in, and they get the Cliff Notes version of whatever's happening. At least then they're paying attention, so they do see the thing. It's not just like a headline, but it's like Sergey said, it's a lot of these people are just kind of dumb.
And it's really weird because you can't, like, when it comes to like real important things, I guess you would say, like in terms of like public safety or like just awareness for things that like people should know in that side of journalism, versus like entertainment, politics. Like politics are important, but it's also like still up to people
Right.
to be well informed to make their own decisions for what political thing they want to do. But whenever that middleman of the people of the information giver is being like mixing up the entertainment elements for the news, like that's when it starts messing up. Like, so what clickbait became a thing.
Exactly.
Of course, even if your article really said something that somebody learned and it was actually 100% accurate, you're not doing a service by having this kind of clickbaity kind of thing.
Right.
It's the same thing YouTube does, or it did back then before people knew better about
those thumbnails,
like those thumbnails of boobs, and it says,
or back when it auto-generated a thumbnail by putting something, it picked the middle frame, and so people would stick something irrelevant in the middle of the video, so they would automatically generate the thumbnail that looked interesting.
Watch the full movie here by clicking this.
Exactly.
I was guilty of that. Yes, I was 12.
Or the Hardcore Henry, before that came out, when it was a music video for that one band. Right in the middle of the video, this dude jumps off the roof and does like a roll, and like his face lands between this chick's boobs. Happens right in the middle of the video, so the thumbnail that's generated is her boobs. And you're like, wow, boobs! And then you click on it and you realize it's a music video. It's a badass music video, but it's displayed in such a way that's going to grab people's attention. And I'll admit, that's fine. But if they do that and it's somewhat relevant, but they would also do it on stuff that doesn't matter, and at that point,
or stuff that should matter.
Yeah,
and then they just destroy the.
It's really irritating. I don't like. I don't like a lot of it.
And I think this case is really good sign that they still need to be responsible about what they do.
Right, like that's what I'm excited about. Like I'm not excited. I mean, obviously this stuff kind of sucks.
I'm excited, except that I know that there's a lot of people that work under the umbrella of Gawker. And it sucks that the decision of one person or even a group of individuals could potentially affect everybody that works at that company.
Right, but it is exciting in the same time that because of something like this, it allows people like who are at least who are in this business to have a learning curve, or have some kind of thing where they're like, well, if I could do this, why can't I do this? And they'll be like, Gawker, and they'll point at them and like, that's why you can't do that.
Yeah, between this and Gamergate, we've had a couple of moments where like we're dragging web journalists over the coals and reminding them that they are playing with the big boys now and they need to put their pants on.
Yeah, it's a weird time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a lot of these guys, they're bloggers. That's all they know. They write opinions and they have,
Well, good for them. Now they will have to learn the basics of journalism.
Exactly.
On some funnier news, I'm going to try to segue this as best I can. Speaking of writers,
heck yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I'm assuming it's David Koepp or Kopp. So Koepp.
Capoeira. I got nothing.
Cool.
Basically, so we confirmed. We heard earlier that last couple weeks that there's going to be a new Indiana Jones movie. Yeah, and I found, and now this news is that David Koepp, who is the writer of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, is going to be writing the new film.
So is it going to be a reboot or
it's another sequel?
It's just another sequel of Indiana Jones.
Because the last one, spoiler alert, with the aliens didn't feel enough like an ending.
My God.
You're laughing. Have you seen it?
Yes, I just remember that scene when that UFO gets from the ground.
Exactly.
And like,
you see, like, this is what's so weird about that. Like, I can't. Two things. One, why? And like,
I know why. Money.
Yeah,
duh.
But like,
the quest for more money.
I can't understand that stuff. It's just really weird to me. Like, you're talking about the guy who he's pretty much like, I don't know how to describe him. If you read his writing credits as a screenwriter, he has some really good stuff.
Dude, they paid him to write it. That's it.
Toy Soldiers, Jurassic Park.
Nice. Also nice.
Mission Impossible.
Nice.
Spider-Man.
Which
first
one?
The first one.
Nice.
The first actual iteration of Spider-Man. That was not good. Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3. That was okay. Premium Rush, Men in Black 3. Like, see, it starts spiraling down as you start. No, I'm serious.
He's getting
I'm
tired.
serious. And he directed Mordecai. If you ever remember Mordecai, it's the Johnny Depp movie that.
It's on Amazon Prime now.
The movie that crapped itself.
Have you seen it?
I have not. I want to see because it didn't look that bad to me.
Again, go look. Now we can all watch it on Prime because that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I'm gonna sit down and watch Mordecai.
I actually really want to.
No, but you see, like I see it on my when I go to my Prime, it says
Mordecai streaming.
Like most popular films, and it's there, and I like.
From Prime, that's probably true.
He wrote Panic Room too. That's wow,
nice.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, what happened is like he showed that he's a really good screenwriter, so he started getting jobs not based on his specs.
He wrote Angels and Demons too.
Okay, so yeah, now he's getting jobs on the studio contracts, And they know that he's good, so they get him shitty projects that they need to look at least not bad.
Right.
The thing is, his pockets are so under with cash. He doesn't care anymore.
You'll be surprised how money can corrupt somebody's mind.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just crazy to me because he wrote all that stuff and like he did some really good work with Spielberg. And like how did the talent like draw? First of all, I'm already upset that there's going to be a new Indiana Jones. Like they didn't learn with the whole the refrigerator. Oh my god! But they didn't learn.
That made sense.
No, it didn't. There's nothing that made sense in that movie.
That actually wasn't.
I mean, I understand. Yes, it's an Indiana Jones movie. Of course, yeah. There's no such thing as like if we haven't found the Ark yet, and it wouldn't open and melt the Nazis' faces. Okay, I get it. Yes, yes.
Can we move on to more important news?
What's more important?
I got some important news right here.
Zootopia
has
been doing amazingly in the box office.
Heck yeah, we still haven't seen it. You want to talk journalistic integrity real quick?
Oh, okay.
And I hate to put people on blast, but I follow a page called Nathan Fillion Fans, and they're selling a shirt that says it's the line from the opening of the show. It says it's just lyrics and it's on a gray shirt, and the post says, "Thanks Taylor Swift for supporting my campaign. Last chance to buy, $3 off." And I googled Taylor Swift walking, and I found the photo that they used, and she is not wearing that fucking shirt. She's wearing a white t-shirt and they photoshopped it to look like she was wearing that shirt.
Wow.
I am calling you out, Nathan Fillion fans. That's bullshit. And that's not cool.
I'll tell you even better story.
Scully, Nathan.
There is one Russian streetwear brand, Black Star.
Ooh, there's people reacting to this angrily. I bet they know it's not real. Continue.
So, and they had a picture of Kanye West wearing one of their shorts from a new collection.
Wait, what'd you call him?
What?
Wait, what? Who?
He said Kanye. It's Kanye, but he said
because the thing is, I've been hearing people calling him Kenny West because of his alter ego. And
Kanye West and Cleveland Jr.
Yeah,
tear this mother.
That's the only
damsel.
I don't feel bad about. Rip him off
Any damsel that's in distress will get out of this dress when she meets Ken West.
I have him in all of this.
No, but you know what it is? Yeah. That's a nice drawing.
Thank you.
But yeah. So
I mean, referring to Kanye West.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a douchebag. I really enjoy the California Los Angeles Clippers new mascot. It's a California condor. I'm like, that is freaking genius. And it's funny because I posted about it on Facebook and one of my friends was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, absolutely. With what the California condor has gone through and what it means to California and how majestic and endangered a bird is, or not endangered anymore, but like still in like that
in red.
Yeah, the step up from endangered, and that the people there are so forward thinking that they would make that the mascot, where it actually means something. It's not something stupid and something random like the Warriors, or something completely random.
Well,
explain to me how the Warriors make sense.
The Warriors doesn't make sense, but I feel.
Explain to me how the Hornets make sense.
Oh, okay.
Explain to me how the Lakers make sense.
You know what
the Hornets
irritates
make
me
sense
about
for a reason, and the Warriors, they were the Philadelphia Warriors before. I don't know when. Dude,
so what did they fight for?
Why is Birmingham High School the Patriots?
Yeah, that's.
We're in Los Angeles, not Boston.
We were
that's high school.
the Acme Road
and they cheat as much
in elementary school.
as the Patriots.
So wait,
Oh,
the Clippers, the basketball team, the Clippers, their logo is their mascot is a condor.
They changed it.
They changed it to a condor.
Yes.
But they're the Clippers.
Yes.
You clip the wings of birds you don't want to fly anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's
a terrible mascot.
If they don't get past the first round, that's what's going to happen to the roster.
What was the old one?
Yeah.
It was, but that's why making it a bird to me, I think of clipped wings, and that's like the worst thing you could do to a bird because it can never fly again after that. That's what you do to a bird you don't want to fly away.
But what if their philosophy is that's what we do with our opponents? We clip them down.
You're really reaching, and I appreciate it. But
No, I'm gonna go with that. I like that. Doesn't matter. Shut up, sir. Moving on.
you need to stretch a little bit before you reach that far.
Oh, I think you stretched far
Instead of
enough.
focusing on a new mascot, why don't they build a good team? Just the thought.
I still think their logo looks like it's just clap.
Just because you.
Hey, how about we're getting a football team?
Yeah. Right.
Better news.
Wait, did that happen?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
no,
LA Rams.
I'm talking early Jersey for sure.
So are they
I
building
mean-
new stadium? Or
Yeah.
what
No.
happened?
They're building a new stadium over in Inglewood.
What?
And they play the first 2 years at the Coliseum, which is gonna be a travesty.
Oh, that's really?
Yeah, the LA Coliseum.
But isn't it?
So
Falling back.
yeah.
Yeah.
First game, first chant. boom. I mean, and the thing is, they're renovating it right now. Like,
No, but
They start stamping their feet. Boom, boom. It's going down.
I mean, and in all
They turn around like
the thing is, in all fairness, they do host USC games there.
Yeah.
And those have been packed to the bridges.
All right. Well, it's probably fine then.
Well, the thing is, it's also been a little while since USC had a huge fan base.
It's been almost 10 years actually.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's been needing to do renovations for like ever.
What about the Olympic Stadium?
It's
I think
the
that's the same
LA
stadium.
Olympics.
I think so.
Oh, Robert, is Coliseum the Olympic Stadium or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah. So I mean, again, there were NFL teams that have played there before, and it's only temporary.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, it's not only an NFL stadium; it's the NFL West hub. So like they're gonna have offices there for the NFL. They're gonna have all these things that it's not gonna, and like the West version of the Hall of Fame is gonna be there. So it's not just a stadium. It's like this entire complex.
Nice.
I'm so excited.
So they're bringing whole
And we
infrastructure.
got Robert Rivers the third too. Oh
Well,
my
now
god!
the questions: San Diego or Raiders?
For what to come here?
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be San Diego.
No, it's gonna
I
be the
don't
Raiders.
think.
It's gonna be the
San Diego.
Raiders.
It's gonna be there because San Diego's gonna
No.
pass, and they have they have like they have
No, Oakland's like they're really tied to their team now.
No,
They're not gonna let it
they're
happen.
not.
Yeah, they are more than San Diego. San Diego's ready to
What-
let
what-
them walk.
Yeah, no, they weren't.
Yeah, they were.
No,
They were really close to letting them walk. They were like,
even more than freaking Oakland. Oakland signed only a 1-year contract at where they are now, and guess what?
because
Oakland doesn't
Oakland-
have the money to freaking build a new
exactly,
stadium.
but if their fan base is that dedicated enough that they will try whatever it takes. to
Dude,
keep
too
their
many people
team.
use the toilet, and it backed up into the players' rooms.
That's hilarious.
But they will fix it because their team is
No,
actually
they
getting good.
didn't.
They will. though.
They stopped using those
They
bathrooms.
will. though. Yeah, again, more dedicated fan base, more people would
just
work
think
harder
about-
to keep their
just
team.
think
All
about
their
it.
teams were stepping in shit.
They don't care. They're the Raiders.
They're basically full of shit.
They're the Raiders. They don't care. Their fans don't care.
Okay, think
Have
Absolutely.
you seen a Raiders fan? They don't give a shit.
Okay, no, okay.
They're
Oh,
just
'cause
like
they-
Vikings.
Garen, just think
Gothic
about.
Vikings.
Oh, trust
It
me.
doesn't make any sense to move your team like 200 miles away. You're not gonna change your fan base dramatically by doing that.
Oh, have you seen the Raiders play? Like, yeah, they're tremendous.
Yeah,
They're
they
dramatic.
used to be the LA Raiders. Let's not forget.
There's a lot of Raider fans over here, believe me.
Yeah.
Oh
they
man,
are.
I went to go see a comedian, and she was like, I had no idea that Raiders were an LA team. I thought they were just a Hispanic clothing brand.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty funny. I'm
You
like,
can-
Again,
That
not my joke. I can't remember the comedian, so I can't quote give her the credit.
Cite, yeah.
But she said that, and it was freaking hilarious. I'm just like, oh my god, that's genius.
Damn it.
So speaking about not the genius stuff,
That's a good
ABC
segue. Welcome back. Welcome back, dude.
I see you're not rusty.
ABC and one of its shows of Prophets and Gods. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard about
never
that. No.
in my
Exactly, that's the problem. It was a show that was supposed to take over Tuesday night, and they scheduled it for false schedule,
Mhm.
but demo wasn't that good, so they're like, yeah, let's just do some adjustment and push it back to the spring. So they pushed it back to the spring, and after second episode, they canceled it.
Yep. I felt really bad because I thought like, yeah.
It's the lowest rating for entire Big Four in the last 2 years.
On the flip side of that, WB is not canceling anything this season, which is great news for every show on air and bad news for a show I'm still waiting for called Contagion. Was it WB or was it
WB?
No,
I think it
I
was
think it was WB.
CW? I mean,
CW?
think-
I guess CW.
I might be getting the network wrong.
Yeah, CW
It
is
sounds like ABC.
Well,
Or
ABC
the
is.
CWB.
Oh my god!
No, but like, CW is basically WB.
Huh?
CW, it's one of the companies of Warner Brothers.
No, I know it's
It's-
CW is the rebranded
Again,
version
you weren't here, but
Oh my
the CW
God, you missed
used
so
to be
much.
the WB.
Yeah,
And I don't know if you were here for when we actually had the talk about when they were merging.
Yeah. What?
Is the CW was the merging of the WB and UPN 13.
I miss UPN.
Yes.
Moesha.
So yeah, I mean, from all the networks, they're doing the best, I would say.
ABC?
No, CW.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
IBC is in a huge crisis.
Oh, the thing is, Disney and their TV hand is in huge crisis because one of the most popular shows of ever, or channels, Sports Center, has
Mhm.
been hemorrhaging money, and has not been able to maintain viewership.
Right, because their shows suck.
Well, not only does the show suck, the thing is not doing anything different anymore than any of the other channels out there.
Okay,
like
first of all,
FS1 or NSNBC Sport or
all those shows got like insanely stupid.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, why are you giving Scott Van Pelt the one prime time that people are watching normal sports? Like, I get it, he's a great analyst, but that's not SportsCenter.
He's one of their most solid analysts, though.
But
he is, but the thing is, put him on SportsCenter. Don't give him in his own weird variety show.
But you would think the weird thing about SportsCenter to me. I'm sorry, Kyle, but the weird thing about ESPN.
I'll let you finish, Sergey.
But I think that SportsCenter is the greatest network. Okay, but I think that the weird thing about it is, there's dead zones and for time slots, where they go oh yeah, no one's gonna watch it at that time. It's weird because a lot of people watch it at that time only on ESPN. Because everybody I've ever known who watches a show on ESPN is never home during the prime time of ESPN.
Right.
Meaning, if you're watching,
why that is?
You're home doing nothing and you're watching SportsCenter all day.
No, that's so wrong, Garen. You don't even get it.
What do you mean? Okay,
who watches SportsCenter at home? Nobody. Everyone watches SportsCenter in the bar. Or
I have 10 people I know that would attest to that.
The thing is,
our
generation will, but the thing is, a lot of times where they're getting a lot of the numbers and all the popularity, we're from bars and we're from places like that.
But no shit, because they're playing it. It's not like everybody could change the channel. Everyone's too drunk to give a shit.
No,
I watch SportsCenter at Dickie's Barbecue Pit in the afternoon because it's what they have on.
Right, exactly. It's just that's what they have on, but it's like that. Of course, yeah, maybe their ratings are skewed because they play on that and then they don't turn it off. Yeah, but a lot of people I know that don't watch it. People, as in people who are not out, people who are at home, watch it whenever they're home all day. One of my friends just keeps it on. We just sit there and watch SportsCenter. We just channel through games because that's where all the games are playing during the day. During the middle of the day, especially college sports, where they always air on ESPN, ESPN2.
But guess who doesn't have the most important college sport ever this year?
What would you define as most college important?
The NCAA March Madness basketball tournament.
I keep saying they don't have ESPN.
Right. Yeah. That was the biggest blow they ever had. But that's the one tangible, logical thing that would be considered a blow to them was that they lost college basketball, most part. But
the thing is, they also don't have they have Monday Night Football now, but even then, it's that's only how long, and even then, it's who's really watching that? I mean, I get it, but
I think you're underestimating the viewership. There's a lot of people watching.
I'm not underestimating the viewership. The numbers are proving how low the viewership is.
It's getting lower than it should be, but I don't
know. It's been lower for the past 3 years, Garen.
What happened in the last 3 years?
No one could figure it out.
No, I'll tell you what happened.
That's the biggest problem.
Disney and their marketing strategy. The same thing was.
I don't even know if it's marketing. The thing is, I think they've become too complacent.
No, it's
how they become too complacent?
It's because the thing is that they again when we're talking about Gawker and how someone comes in and it's you have to follow this line of thinking is that when you had hosts or when you have analysts that came in and kind of went against what what their channel wanted to show, is that you had people just not being entertained by it or not caring. That happened, and they've had shows that were still commercially viable, and they've kicked them out and just said bye. We don't need you anymore. One of the prime ones I can think of is Jim Rome Was Burning, and the thing is because he was crazy and he was aggressive, and they were no, we don't want you. Same thing with when what's his name,
Bill Simmons.
There's other ones where he got banned off of the channel for 3 weeks because he said something that was a little bit too aggressive or a little bit too truthful.
Or aggressive
right?
would be the more right word.
Right.
I know what you're talking about.
But
I get it. Those are a lot of reasons. I mean,
and the thing is, people aren't stupid anymore.
I get it. It hurt their public image, but I don't think it's the quality of their shows that hurt their public image.
The thing is
their public image that got hurt because of them firing people.
That's true, but there are other networks now out there. Like I said, FSN, Fox Sports 1, again, Fox Sports 1, not a channel. I mean, not a show, but an entire channel. And the NBC Sports Select or whatever it's called, another channel. You have a whole bunch of other things. The thing is, you have to also remember where SportsCenter started. SportsCenter, they're their own channel now, but they used to be a staple on ABC7.
Yeah.
They're not there that anymore. I remember they used to be there on Saturday mornings all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or Sunday mornings, and
they became their own thing. Yeah,
and again, that's another reason.
Right,
they're not national anymore. I mean,
it seems like all those other it seems like Fox Sports and stuff. All those their success now is more capitalizing on ESPN screwing up.
And I mean, the thing is, it's become this where ESPN isn't. The thing is, before is that when you got a cable package, ESPN was always included, always in like the most. They negotiated so well that it was always in the basic package, right? No matter what you got, you always got ESPN.
Right.
The thing is, now people don't, like, the general public doesn't care about that anymore. And now, since we're getting this a la carte and cable cutting and all these different things, is that they're trying to pivot into the digital space, but they've been so lagging and so slow and so copyright incentive that their pivot hasn't been so strong.
But I think that also attributes to the idea that, like, because of niche markets, that having one giant sports center isn't as appealing as having NFL Red Zone or having college basketball, having an NCAA package or everything. And that would attribute to that, because it's cheaper to just get something that you want specifically. You might be paying a little bit less, not as much as you would get all these other sports, but most people don't care about watching all these other sports because if I want to watch just football, I'm going to get something that's just football.
Again, go back to the olden times where ESPN was dominant. You look at
olden times.
Well, okay, look 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, it's just funny to think about.
But no, the thing is, I say it that way because now when you want to get news, when you want to get sports news, you go to any website and click sports, and you have all the headlines there, and you could read them, and you read them in 10 minutes, and you're done, right? Or even less. Before, you didn't have that. You actually had to go to SportsCenter, so you'd see all the big scores and highlights. Is that they would go for the entire hour and go through there. For the past 3 years, and that's why I stopped watching SportsCenter, because it became a repeat every hour. Is that you would have the same stories run every hour. Maybe it'd be something different, but then the thing is, then you'd be sitting there hoping for when that comes up, and they usually bury it deep in the show after you've already watched all the crap.
Right, but I would also, but that's also because of the lack of like really good original content they're coming up with too with shows. Like there's some shows on there that are just so bad.
No,
like,
the thing is that SportsCenter was such a juggernaut that they didn't want to take it off. They would rather have a repeat because it did better than a new some other show that would come up. I mean, when you're really thinking about it, how often is there a new show on SportsCenter now? I mean, again, they did that with
on ESPN in total.
Yeah,
a lot. They actually cycle through shows. That's the thing. It's like they found a couple that they stick to, but like every now and then I'll go on and be like, wait, what? This is a show now?
Exactly. But the thing is, they're trying it, but the thing is, nothing's working.
Right. Nothing's working for them because they're trying it the wrong way. They're trying to do stupid kinds of shows. You're telling the same news, but from different people's perspective and trying to market them as shows. That's not the point. You start the shows that are the most successful that I would assume think are the most successful are the niche in terms of sports, like NHL Hour or the NFL Hour.
Right.
Like those work
NFL,
because you could go and hear real analysts and stuff.
But again, that's been the most interesting thing is that during their happy hour, it starts off with the NFL. I want to say it's the NFL Hour, but it's basically an hour in NFL. You have Trey Wingo and a bunch of their ESPN NFL analysts come in and talk about it. Then after that, you have Around the Horn, which is basically a mock game show where the points don't really kind of matter, but they do. And we don't know how it's really scored.
Yeah, it's really subjective, but I have a joke to go along with that, but continue.
But anyway, so basically we have that. And so we have, again, four analysts talking about the most important sports topic of the day or of yesterday. And then what do we have after that? We have part of the interruption, where it's, again, two other sports analysts talking about the topics of the past week or day. You have basically two shows behind, like, back to back. Again, the first one's a niche show. You're right. But in the NFL, how often can you really part in the NFL, especially when it's in the offseason? And then two shows after that, they're doing the exact same thing, just different people saying different things. And sometimes their opinions are all the same, so you end up being the same thing freaking in rotation.
Of course. I know. I agree with you that that's a major problem. But I think
I'm just stating it.
I just think that's a huge problem, but I think that problem could be solved in a way that if they decided to rethink the way they format their shows and having different kinds of shows like that in terms of creating those niche hours or creating those niche times to satisfy everybody else while also keeping viewership. Because what ends up happening is if I know that at 3 p.m. that's basketball hour, I will DVR that.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's the problem. You DVR, you're not getting tuned in.
No advertising.
Do we not? Oh, I thought you pressed something. Okay, yeah.
No.
But like, at least that would help. At least I would DVR. Or if someone's home at the time and be like, all right, but people would get like, okay, like, 9 to 5 people are at work, or even in the morning, like people come back and the TV's on, they'll watch. That's why SportsCenter, all these shows are on repeat. is because whoever is home will watch these stupid shows like that one, Highly Questionable. I hate that show so much.
It's really stupid.
It's so low-key racist because they just got some old guy with an accent to like say stupid things. I bet he doesn't even talk like that in real life. I think like
I think he might. I think it's just a product of the time.
They're like, LeBron James had 25 points. Like, yeah, he was pretty good the other day. Oh, I think LeBron James just go up there with the dunk and whoa, and everyone's just like,
oh yeah, see, yeah.
I'm just like, you guys, what? Like, that's your father.
Yeah.
You asshole. Like, you just poured him out. And there was like a his and her show. I'm like, oh, I get it because it's a guy and a girl. Okay,
you also another big in ESPN news. ESPN stopping service to the Xbox 360. They're no longer going to be supporting any streaming content or anything like that on the Xbox 360. It's an old console, not going to be supported. If you want your Xbox, they're like, if you want to continue enjoying your streaming content, please buy the Xbox One. So,
brought to you by Xbox One.
Yeah, brought to you by Microsoft.
No, I mean, I think it's a bunch.
Also, Xbox is $300 right now if you want to go to Microsoft and buy it. So
Do you guys want some lighthearted breaking news?
How's that? What? Okay.
Sure. I got breaking news.
But
it's gonna make you laugh.
Okay.
The Natural Environment Research Council is crowdsourcing the name of their new Arctic exploration ship that's gonna hit Antarctica in 2019.
Oh, please tell me it's the Titanic.
No, it's the RRS Bodie McBoatface. RRS stands for Royal Research.
If it was the Titanic, that would just be like,
nope.
Yeah.
Bodie McBoatface.
Bodie McBoatface. And then they go,
it's got 18,000 votes, and it's ahead by like a mile.
Of course it's going to be.
Yeah. Bodie McBoatface. It's a government-funded ship, too. I just thought that was funny.
They got a sense of humor.
Yeah. This came out like 12 hours ago, this article. Just made me laugh.
So I had this little funny bit that I found. I thought this was a funny piece of news.
Oh, yeah.
Really? I have one that trumps that.
I have streaming.
Say yours, and I'll determine if it trumps mine.
Portal and Half-Life movies confirmed to be in development by J.J.
talked about
Abrams.
that
I mean, that's just more.
week.
That's more exciting than. Yeah, no, you did.
I talked about that last week.
Yeah, but I think that's more exciting than funny. I think that's just cool.
Thing is, I think it's garbage.
What?
I
demand
I respect
an
your
explanation.
opinion.
No, I don't.
The thing is that they're in development. So what does that mean?
They're being written. This is why I told my friend that got really excited about it, and she's actually listening now. Hi, shout outs to Canada. It's the bare minimum effort to say a script is being written because that's step one. So for J.J. Abrams to say, yes, we have a writer, it's like, okay, good.
No, but the thing is that, and we've got writers, and we're working on both stories.
Yeah, but that's just that means that they haven't said no yet.
The thing is that they're not even, I don't think they're even writing it. I think they're throwing around ideas.
Well, if you say they have writers, I don't know. I think it's just like
I think J.J. Abrams is bored.
I think no, he's not.
I
bored.
think
he's working too much.
I think.
Plus,
no,
this is
that's why
is 3-year-old news. Like he talked about it 3 years ago at a GDC, and somebody who remembered he said that said, "By the way, what's happening with that?"
Yeah.
So it was just a pop-up news. But we talked about this last week.
I don't remember.
Really?
Yeah.
That shows how effective
I actually didn't
was.
remember that was towards the tail half. Yeah.
I swear I talked about it.
Here's funny news that I thought was really funny. Like it's a project coming up. So I did not know this, by the way. I didn't know that Dan Harmon executive produced Anomalisa, the one that was nominated for a thing. I did not know that. So executive producer Dan Harmon is doing another movie called Bubbles. And the film is basically about an animated feature based on the perspective of Michael Jackson's monkey, Bubbles.
Oh my God.
Through this monkey's eyes
about
the perspective of Michael Jackson. I thought that sounded really weird and funny.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's about Michael Jackson, kind of. It's about the monkey, but it's like what was going on to Michael Jackson in his life through this monkey's perspective,
and how the monkey reacts.
Yeah, like it just like and like they were like, oh, why is he doing that? Oh my God! And like you could piece that together, whatever you really want. But I just think that's real. I don't know. I just thought that was really funny and weird. Like it just sounded off.
Another weird funny news. Drew Barrymore and Timothy Oliphant.
It's like elephant with an O.
So they're gonna be starring in a new Netflix comedy series called Santa Clarita Diet.
What?
And yes, if you're thinking of Santa Clarita, it is that Santa Clarita based out of Los Angeles. And so basically,
it's that part of LA that most of the rest of the world doesn't know about.
It's gonna be a single camera comedy that will premiere in 2016-17 and hails from the writers Victor Fresco, basically the person who wrote Better Off Ted. The comedy centers around a married couple, Joel, who's going to be played by Oliphant.
You got it the first time, yeah.
The guy.
And Sheila, who's Barrymore, realtors leading a vaguely discontented lives in Los Angeles suburbs of Santa Clarita until Sheila goes through a dramatic change that sends both of their lives down a road of death and destruction, but in a good way.
It makes.
I'll watch it because it's Netflix, but I'm like, I'm calling up a storm right now. Oh, speaking of Netflix, okay, I got a couple of these. We'll segue a lot with this. One, because I have Netflix news, I have other streaming news, but first I want to ask, why is Will Arnett playing a live-action BoJack Horseman in the new Netflix original series that just came out? I don't get. He's like he's an out-of-work actor who's an alcoholic.
He's in another show. That's
he's in another show.
But
it's like a not funny. Well, I only watched 5 minutes of it and then I had to pause it. But the premise is that he's an alcoholic. Like he's sober. He's in treatment, but he's like it messed up his life because he killed somebody. And he's like an out-of-work actor who's in LA who's doing rehab. I haven't gotten far enough into the show to find out if it's like
That's how they're doing R&D for season 3.
Well, no. The thing is, this is something you talked about earlier when we were having dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's Netflix and they're reusing their stars?
Absolutely.
He's talking about Flake.
I think it might be Flake.
The guy from Arrested Development.
That's
right?
one.
Yes.
Yeah, this is horrible show.
Is it?
It's like they took.
I haven't seen it.
I watched 3 episodes and it had one funny joke for 3 episodes.
Damn.
Jesus.
And it's like the premise of the show is great. You have.
And now I'm looking it up.
It has great atmosphere. It's Venice Beach and all this
Mhm.
weird people.
Oh, it seems like it would be an interesting show. It's just like I find it interesting personally that it's the same actor playing the same, not the same, but a similar character in a similar situation.
Will Arnett also created Flake.
In the same environment as another thing he's already done on Netflix.
Mhm.
So it's like BoJack Horseman is the cartoon that's funny, and then Flaked is like the real life version of it. And you get the sense that this is what Will Arnett went through, and this is just what he's done.
I'll say, you know why? Because Will Arnett's like the executive producer on both of them, and the creator.
I understand that. To me,
the thing is, I think he's one note, is what I'm trying to say.
I was trying to hope that it wasn't that.
The thing is, I mean, we'll see. We'll have to see on what the third film or what the third project he does. But so far, it looks like it's just him being one note, if that's what you guys are saying.
No, the problem of that show is there is no story. You cannot make funny jokes if there is no story, so the jokes will be implied to the story. You know what I mean? Because it's a.
Do you think it's just everybody trying to copy this Louis kind of thing?
It's not Louis. They're going after Californication.
Oh, that's what they're trying to do.
That makes sense.
Without having all the fun stuff from Californication.
Californication was a fun show. That's why it was good. Why are they trying to copy? God, whatever.
It's like
I'm not gonna.
And just Will Arnett doing that again. I don't get it. It's like it's been done. But you say it's terrible, so I won't even bother. Honestly,
it looks pretty.
It does. I'll give
wonderful.
It that.
Like the atmosphere, colors.
Oh, until that shot.
Yeah.
No, the one that was indoors and they didn't light it correctly because they were using only available lighting.
Oh yeah.
Finished like posting in the background, right?
No, it was on some kind of group meeting.
Yeah, it's an anonymous alcoholics meeting.
Yeah.
And like you listen to them and like you look at the drama that they deal with and you're like, those white people have nothing happening in their life. If this is the
maybe that's the joke.
No, like so the basic storyline that his friend who's a loser falls in love is a new waitress who works at Venice and they all live in Venice, and actually he falls in love with her too and she has some feelings for him too, and that's it. There's like nothing else happening.
Basically everything that they show in the trailer.
Yes.
How exciting.
That sounds.
And because there's like no story to drive to some.
Did you watch the whole thing or did you get tired of it?
They did only 3 episodes.
3 episodes. And I just like I almost fall asleep.
What if it gets better? Because I would have given up on Daredevil this season if I only gave it 3 episodes. Because I hated that until like episode 6.
Okay, but you see, this is the problem of shows.
Netflix.
If you're not able to grab your audience in like pilot is the way. Pilot is your selling point.
Mhm.
You need to sell the show by people. When the pilot ends,
Absolutely.
people want to click to your next episode.
Right.
Especially,
But on Netflix, because they release them all at once,
And it's
even if
autoplay.
even if it's not that great, you go, well, I'll give it another shot, and then you move on to the next
I'm already paying for the subscription.
Yeah.
that's
Might
what,
as
that's
well.
what
But
happened.
there have
with-
been a number of TV shows where I watch the pilot air and I never tune in again because it's not interesting.
Yeah, that was the same issue was this other day show, Love.
I
It-
tried to watch that too. I got 5 minutes into that and I
Oh,
realized
dude,
I hated all the people.
McLovin.
In which one? In
Flaked.
In Flaked? Oh.
No,
weird.
they got great cast. Like,
Mhm.
it looks great.
But that doesn't make a
It-
good show.
It's
Yeah.
it's like all stout with no substance kind of thing, where like
That's what it
you have a
sounds
bunch
like.
of ingredients that would make something good, but just didn't turn out to be good.
Also, the storylines that they go for, like they were very good or used already in Californication.
Mm.
So when you have
It even takes place in Venice. I
Yeah.
mean, come on.
and then you watch like, okay, it was told better. Why you're trying to do it on a lower scale with smaller budget, with not that good writing?
That's kind of Netflix go-to though. I mean, a little bit though.
I know.
The thing is that they're gonna
I
look.
agree.
They're gonna look to, and it's basically what YouTube's doing. It's what YouTube is doing right now too. Is where YouTube is trying to see what works, and they're going about. They're taking numbers on what works and putting and making a YouTube original series around that,
Mhm.
or YouTube Red series around it.
it still always goes back to the whole story is king kind of thing in a weird
Mhm.
way. Like if you have something good, like if you have something's written well, you can make it look whatever way you want. If it's good, it's good. People will pay attention. You can't like have something boring. Like it makes you tired.
Yeah, I mean, like even Arrested Development, the last season that Netflix did, it was great, even though they had this huge gap.
I mean,
it
was great by
it-
itself. Like if
no,
you
no,
compare it to
the thing is, it was good because people haven't seen it in a long time.
I mean, but the story.
No, I disagree. I
Story
binged the
helps
whole
you.
thing and then watched the 4th season, and I thought it was good. It wasn't as good as the other seasons. I can agree with there because of technical limitations.
Yeah.
But I think it held up, all things considered.
Exactly, like, and the characters.
What are the things you're considering?
I haven't watched it in 2 years. I can't tell you now. What I'm
No.
saying is I watched them all, and I didn't feel the
Uh-huh.
yearning for a new season because I caught up with it within like 3 months of the new season coming out.
I watched them all, like starting from episode 1 to the new season,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, you feel the difference. You feel that they have.
Yeah, they've aged and the technology has increased, and because of the scheduling conflicts and the way they film the show, it doesn't have quite the same feeling, but the comedy is still there and the writing is still there.
Yeah, comedy is there, like, and everything that sets has a payoff
Mhm.
later on.
right.
And you need to watch and you need to follow. So you have, like, you as a viewer has to
Yeah.
do some work too.
It's essentially one giant episode
Yeah,
Right.
because of how far they have to stretch the setup and payoff.
I think that's what my problem might have been with it. It's just the fact that I was kind of sitting there and it just
Mhm.
by the 3rd episode I was like, I am just
It's definitely
I'm
a show
not
you have to
there.
binge though.
that's
because
I can't
if
binge.
you watch one a week, you'll forget some of the setup from the early episodes.
That's the thing. What happened because I saw the 3 and I was like, okay, maybe I'll just whatever. And I went back.
Mhm.
I just couldn't.
and you see, yeah, I think like those guys, they use the idea of bench watching
Mhm.
the best possible way.
Yeah.
They made something that stood out from all other shows that just like you dump all the episodes, people watch them, but there's nothing happening, and they just watch because it's on autoplay.
Here's what Pajiba.com says about this show, and I want to know, Sergey, if you agree with it. I'm going to read the first paragraph of this article. A new series on Netflix is typically followed by a flurry of reviews, dozens of think pieces, and looks ahead to the next season. And there's been little to none of that for the 8-episode series called Flaked, which debuted on Netflix last Friday, and there's a good reason for that. It's not a good show.
Exactly.
It possesses none of the magic typically associated with a Netflix series. There's no urge to binge. It's unlikely that anyone will watch beyond the pilot. There is less heat on this show than a frozen banana.
Wow, that is mean.
It is flat and listless and about as interesting as a saltless chicken broth.
I was thinking white carrot, but saltless chicken broth is.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about that. By the way, not even the story I wanted to talk about, just a casual thing I mentioned before bringing up the fact that Netflix picked up an animation from Paramount called The Little Prince, which this is news apparently because people have been really hyped about it, but I don't know much about it. It's based on a book
I mean, the gist of what I understood, it was basically this film that was supposed to come out that Sony was supposed to like release, and then Sony dropped it,
and then
Netflix
Paramount picked it. Well, it was Paramount is what's written here. But Paramount dropped it, and Netflix was immediate to pick it up, and it's coming out.
Third time's a charm.
You know why they're doing it? They're not doing it for American market. This book is huge in Europe. It's Exupéry, right? The French writer.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, this book.
I would not have pronounced that correctly, so thank you.
So yeah, this book is huge in Europe, and because they're emerging to a lot of European markets, instead of making the original content there, they're just going to use the brands that already known.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that I have an international trailer here, and Paramount was only doing a US release on the 17th of this month. So they canceled it like a day before it was supposed to come out, which is really weird. And they canceled it in America, and then Netflix picked it up for American distribution, but I think it's already had international distribution because I have a trailer here in French that's already out.
It's only 8 episodes though.
The Little Prince?
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about Flaked.
But yeah, also
Hi, welcome to the conversation.
Sorry, I zoned out for a second with me reading this.
Yeah, no, I mentioned that it was 8 episodes in when I was reading the article.
So do you think that there's like the order of events is different? It's not that Paramount canceled and then Netflix picked it up, that Netflix approached Paramount and bought all the rights?
It's hard to say. It says that they quietly pulled it off the shelves and is now expected to premiere stateside on a streaming service. It doesn't like this is an article from Time magazine, and it mentions that Netflix has the rights, and then proceeds to talk about like they have to fill space, and so they say Mark Osborne has also done this, and The Little Prince combines these things, and Paramount has done this, and it's like
it's Mark Osborne's.
Directed by Mark Osborne, an Oscar nominee for Kung Fu Panda.
That guy is awesome.
Well, he directed this film apparently.
He also made a short film, More. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube and it's great. It also was nominated for Oscar.
What's his name?
So this guy's good at what he does, is what you're saying.
I mean, like, he's very artistic. I don't like Kung Fu Panda.
That's a broad.
I mean, Kung Fu Panda is maybe not the best example, but like
Kung Fu Panda was great. Come on, that was
what I'm saying is like I've seen his previous works before he became a big animation director. He's very artistic, and Little Prince is very artistic novel on itself. The story is very existential, so I guess it should work together well.
Side note, I'm really excited because I don't know why. I think my sister got the DVDs. I found them downstairs. I found the DVD for the animated film that was made a couple of years ago based on Khalil Gibran's book The Prophet. And I don't know if you've heard of The Prophet, but I would maybe. I don't know, because it's a Middle Eastern it's a book written in Arabic, and it was like based on there's like this really interesting story about like talking about life and philosophy through this. It's a really beautiful story, and if I watch it and it's actually good, Liam Neeson's is one of the voices of it. It's made in animated form. If I watch it and it's good, I'm gonna suggest it to all of you with like 100% because this is like my dad's favorite book ever, and I think like I was really excited about seeing it remade, and so was he. And he was like, Liam Neeson too?
I'm just picturing Liam Neeson just angrily yelling at somebody about something religious over the phone. I don't know who you are,
but if I don't find Allah, I will. No,
yeah,
praise be to him. Yeah, just gotta.
If I knew more about the story, I would ad lib some Taken right now, but I don't know if I can.
I don't know. I don't know that much about it either. My dad was just like, I'm like, Dad, what's it about? He's like, you read it and find out. I'm like, okay.
That's the lazy answer.
You know what it is? No, my dad thinks because I don't read 10 books a day that I'm dyslexic.
That's not mutually exclusive at all.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Now we're both on the same page. So, anyways.
Yeah.
More streaming news.
Speaking of animated news that I saw on your feed.
Are we talking about the same thing?
Super excited.
Go for it.
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah. Garen's excited.
I'm so excited for that. That's like so Yu Yu Hakusho anime.
Anime from the 90s about a spirit detective.
Yes. And with
Sergey, do you like anime?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Oh, speaking about anime, I tried to watch the new season of Pokemon on Netflix.
Why would you?
It was like kind of nostalgia.
It's a kid's show, though.
I know,
the
like
difference between like serious anime that's
but
like hard hitting.
But that's like that's also the most vanilla of all anime.
No, like
Yeah.
because like when I was 10, I was watching that show. I was like, oh,
Pokemon is seventh heaven to Cowboy Bebop's House of Cards.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
My God, that's a really good example.
And Yu Yu Hakusho is like supernatural.
Okay.
You know, it's like cheesy, but it's good.
God, you're really good with this.
I'm on fucking fire right now.
Dude,
Fire for them streets, Garen.
What's a Fooly Cooly then?
It's just weird. It's like a David Lynch film.
Yeah, it's Eraserhead.
So Yu Yu Hakusho is about a guy who he's kind of a punk ass, and he's more of a bully, really, and he's kind of a like he wants to be Yakuza, but he's not. And he's got a heart of gold, and he sees this kid about to get hit by a car, and he saves the kid, but he gets killed in a car accident. And all these angels one actually comes up and says like, "Whoa, you weren't supposed to die yet. What happened?" And basically he goes on a quest to come back to life for a couple of episodes, and then when he does, he becomes a spirit detective, which basically means he shoots a laser beam out of his finger.
He basically he has to find ghosts and be a detective and stuff. They're like,
so if a ghost is messing up some stuff in another dimension, or if he's causing problems or possessing people or whatever, he is like a liaison and he has to go take care of it.
Yeah,
and he meets some mystical characters on the way.
And like he befriends like some old enemies become friends kind of thing. Like that's like one of those tropes.
Like one of his rivals becomes like his best pal.
And it has a spirit sword.
I mean,
I used to do a great Kuwabara. It's hard though now because my throat's. It's better when I'm sick because I have that gravelly like.
So why don't they do a live action then? I mean,
that'd be interesting actually. I think that'd be one that would be
because Dragon Ball Evolution.
No, but I mean, it's
because anime doesn't exactly transfer well into.
As soon as I heard that they were going to try and turn Naruto into live action, I flipped my chair. I was so pissed.
Inuyasha.
The thing about the thing is you're naming a bunch of anime that doesn't exist in this world. Yu Yu Hakusho existed in this world. He just shot lasers out of his fingers, so it could easily translate with like a laser beam out of one guy, the spirit sword out of the other guy, and then the other two use somewhat traditional weapons. And the most CG-esque thing you have is like Hiei's got a third eye.
I think the question is, will it work for a general audience?
Well, it needs to be a really I can't believe I was saying this, like kind of an unfaithful adaptation, meaning that like it has to be the premise, but has to change it up a little bit because you can't translate the same exact thing. It won't work.
The problem is when you change it, people flip.
The show had a huge problem for me personally because the first season is all about. The first season's all about going up against these 4 demons that are like ruling the spirit world in some area, and they're messing stuff up and they want to stop them.
Yeah.
And then the second season, like there's like some disease that's happening on like in Earth and they got to figure it out. And then there's the Dark Tournament, which is just like a bunch of spirit detective type people and demons all start fighting. And that's one of those things where you just have like episode after episode after episode of fight scene. But there's no substance. There's a little bit of drama in the background, and there's some training montages here and there, and I'm glazing over a lot of the details. But for the most part, any show that goes into like, we're going to have a tournament, that's just so that you can watch characters square off and also waste time. Then they come back to the real world for a little bit, and then they go back to the spirit world for another goddamn tournament. And so half of the show is eaten up by useless drivel. Mm-hmm. That isn't motivated or engaging at all from a story standpoint.
Like a
little bit.
But I mean, the differences between those two shows, I think the way Dragon Ball Z did it was just based on complete filler, where they charged up and powered up into becoming a different form every other episode.
Garen, how many characters in Dragon Ball Z does it take to screw on a light bulb?
Is it something like 1, but it'll take 3 episodes?
Yes.
Kind of thing? Okay. Yeah. But because that's the thing for anybody that watches Dragon Ball Z, it's kind of like, well, you'll see my true final form.
And then they're sitting there like
freaking
constipated
out.
and the yellow lines
the
are going
Earth is
everywhere.
Shaking.
And meanwhall, subplots happening, and we check in on Goku every once in a while.
I was wondering about this show.
The thing is that I've been rewatching because it comes on Saturday nights on like the beginning of their.
Are you talking about Kai or the regular one?
The regular one.
Okay. Because Kai, they did away with all that, right? That was the point of Kai. They cut out all the filler.
And so it's weird because like I missed an episode. And I came back, and the story progressed like a teeny bit.
Once.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't even miss that much.
You could have completely missed it, and nothing would have changed.
The android showed up. Okay, cool. And then that episode, he killed an android, and the other one ran away. And you're sitting here like, okay, cool.
I think if you took the preview, like the previously on Dragon Ball Z and the next time on Dragon Ball Z, and you stuck those all together for an entire season, with minor edits to cut out the duplicate stuff, you could have a complete 27-minute episode that would encompass the whole season, and you wouldn't miss anything.
The thing is, it's kind of because I remember you said that earlier before, and I've been like looking at some of the like previously on Dragon Ball Z. They're not as crazy as I think as I remember them.
That's true. I'm looking at these through the filter of me.
Right.
Having watched it as a teenager.
I understand what you're saying, but what Robert's saying, but I also think that what the difference is between that and Yu Yu Hakusho is that whenever they did the Dark Tournament thing, they engraved that whole fighting. One, they did two things. One, they engraved the fighting in a greater plot, like that there was some progression going on. There was a tournament. There was a bad guy. Something's going on.
Well, I think they were trying to get to the top of the tournament because they knew somebody was evil, and they had to root him out.
They didn't. Yeah. And the second thing was that also because all these character plots and like this arc was going on during the first couple of seasons. Whenever they got to that point, it's like all these things were culminating into one. Like the whole idea of like, oh, you were my friend, and I know it's like, no, you can't do this. And like in the middle of the tournament,
thing is, I also think it's really like Eastern or Japanese storytelling.
This is true.
Because the thing is, it again, like I said, even though it's not the same, it has similar tendencies as a lot of these other mangas or like animes. That it all kind of follows that same rhythm or path. Because even like Trigun had the same thing, Cowboy Bebop. And these are just the ones I've seen. Initial D. It was like when they find a race, you're like, yay! And then even then, like in the race, it would be like story. I'm like, what?
But is Power Rangers based on anime?
The thing is, the action scenes are from Japan.
Anything where they're wearing the suit, basically, is the original Japanese show.
But all the story was written here. Was basically writers got the footage in from all the action and the fighting, and like, how do we write a story and plot around this? And they basically filled it in like that.
They filled in the gaps, which is why it was so popular. But the thing was like, and I agree with you that you're saying like about Yu Yu Hakusho where it is Eastern storytelling.
I'm not even talking about Yu Yu. I'm just talking about like anime, like
most anime.
Like what is the Attack on Titan?
That's a little bit more.
Has anyone here seen the live action version of that?
No, not yet. I heard it was not that great.
That's why I heard too.
But here's the problem with the here's the problem I had with the live action one that prevented me from watching it at all. I didn't even give it a chance. Is that the thing that makes Attack on Titan unique as an anime is that it's an anime made in Japan, told from a Western perspective because it takes place in Europe. And when they made the live action version, it was all Japanese people in feudal Japan, and it freaking ruined it.
Right.
That was the point.
And they had rocket launchers, which is also stupid.
I think that was like the early 2000s. That's why all those shows got popular. Like, that's why Naruto and like Full Metal was so popular, is because not Naruto necessarily, but Full Metal was so popular because it wasn't told in Japan. Like the whole setting was it was Germany, Europe. Like they were German. They were German kids, right?
But the thing is that something you were talking about earlier? Remember, is that they would have to change something to adapt to make it.
No, I'm talking about for like a live action.
But that's what I'm saying. And then my relation to that is what they did for.
Because the Japanese people couldn't do a faithful adaptation of Attack on Titan because it's a bunch of Japanese people there. There's one Japanese person in the show, and she's the only one because she was on vacation and the rest of the world got wiped out. But they had to change it.
I don't know. I just like that. That's why I get so weary about that kind of stuff. Like, I'm glad that they're putting Yu Yu Hakusho out there. That's like that's a good reference to classic 90s anime. Yeah. I mean, of course, you could go back to the 70s with all that stuff too. Like,
there's plenty of old ones that are
70s and 80s are really like.
But I mean, the 90s was a solid era of good shows.
That was at the height of because this was after
imports.
Akira. So Akira came out in 87. I think, or 88.
I'm not sure.
And then that
98. 97? Damn, you're right. I think it's 98.
No, Akira?
Yeah.
In late 80s. It was for sure late 80s.
You know what's amazing? I Googled 90s anime just for squirts and giggles. There's one we haven't said in a while. And in order, squirts, in order. And I've seen, most of these. Neon Genesis, Dragon Ball Z, Cowboy Bebop, Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, Revolutionary Group,
Gundam Wing,
Excel Saga.
Gundam Wing changed a lot. That was so seminal.
Escaflowne, Mobile Suit Fighter.
I'm gonna go back to. Do you know why and how we've seen most of these? 88. Akira was 88.
Cartoon Network,
there's
Cartoon Network, Toonami, Saturday morning cartoons, and also Adult Swim.
Toonami was the big one.
That started with Gundam Wing, but like
Yeah.
if you go for most American audiences, but when you go backwards, it's Akira. It's Akira came out in '88. Then then Ghost in the Shell came out in the early '90s.
Was out there.
Lupin.
Ghost in the Shell not on this list.
Well, that because they're 2000s, aren't they?
No, I thought they're '90s. I thought the first iteration of that show was in the '90s, or the movie was in the '90s.
I'll just Google it.
Like that's whenever it started gaining some traction, and then of course
Ghost in the Shell was '95. But that was a film.
Yeah.
Wait. No, I'm talking about Standalone Complex, which was the series, right? Or am I getting confused? Here, let me Google it.
I think, but it's good that like people could see.
Oh yeah,
this kind
Ghost
of
in the Shell was the film, and then Standalone Complex was the television series. But they also had a film called Standalone Complex: Solid State Society. I actually didn't know about Ghost in the Shell, the show. I mean, sorry, the movie, until after I knew that the show was a thing. But I caught on to that train.
Here's
later.
another interesting thing about Yu Yu Hakusho too, and like why it's so relevant is that's one of the last shows. One of the last anime shows to be drawn hand drawn. For this Yu Yu Hakusho and like those shows, late 90s or 2000s. Last shows, because after that, whenever they started switching to computers, that's why Gundam Seed was like so.
Yeah. No, like, Gundam Seed was just an abortion. Period.
It was just like polarizing.
That was the thing is that had nothing to do with the animations. Well, I mean, yeah, the animation style, but just the story period.
It was weird. It was off. I mean, like that. They were trying to do a lot. I mean,
now
Double O was Double O. The last one that came out was was it Double O was the last one, the last iteration. Double O was pretty good. I mean, like, or at least it was trying. Like, it was different. They were retelling some kind of story in a more modern sense.
I'm not talking. Gundam Seed.
There's Seed and Seed Destiny that came out, which I don't know why they.
No, see, those are fine.
Which one had Shining Finger?
That's a Mobile Fighter G Gundam, yeah. Okay. That was more of a thing. Like they admitted that was like a rip off of Dragon Ball Z, but like in a fun way. Like that was cool though, because there was a lot of character development in that. There was some good storytelling in that.
Has anybody ever heard of Prince Planet? Because it showed up in '90s anime, even though it came out in 1965.
No.
I'm sorry. You know the one I'm thinking of is Gundam Wing DX.
I didn't even know there was a DX.
DX is the one where they're these little squatty. Is that DX?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That was just a bad show. I know exactly.
I don't think it's XD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the little squatty Gundam wings.
Yeah, forget that. Don't even let's ignore that. That's a thing. I remember that.
When I saw that, I'm like, that Gundam Wing's done.
Gundam Wing was such a good show.
Well, there have been a number of iterations of the Gundam series. Just
what's crazy is that.
But the thing is, all the other ones made a little bit of sense, and they were like, again, mobile suits fighting. This one was like these little sentient robots.
They just basically took no, I'm not kidding. They were just literally a fanfare cute little toy thing marketing scheme of the shows. It was disgusting and terrible, and I can't believe they did that. I totally can't.
The thing is, I don't know if I'm getting the actual name of it correct.
Well, it's some form of that. Yeah.
It's something like that.
Let's talk about something I think is really interesting, and I'm shocked that I didn't hear this news before right now.
Yes.
Ghost in the Shell 2017 film.
Yeah,
starring Scarlett Johansson.
We've talked about that.
We have
on
talked
show.
about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a conversation with Colin about that because he's a huge fan of that. So
Colin with the long hair. Colin.
Yes.
Him?
I'm surprised I had conversation with
How many Collins do we know? Like,
the one with the
well, yeah. So he was a fan of that. He was a fan of that.
Reference, and I actually say the reference.
I'm not getting it.
Never mind.
I'll get it at some point. Maybe,
I heard. Speaking of that, I heard something super funny the other day. So there was a thing where it's from a show, and I'll explain later. But the idea was that when someone's like, oh, like you're talking about Frankenstein, right? And then they go like the person like Frankenstein. Wait, what do you? It was like Frankenstein is like was he a Jew? And then he goes like, well, actually he like pauses like, well, I mean, he did technically make the monster on the cheap. I was like, oh my god,
that's genius.
I thought you were going in a totally different direction.
It was the same show we were talking about earlier outside. Sorry. Yeah. It was in the same episode as the
and it was SD Gundam.
SD there.
SD Gundam.
Oh god, don't even.
Or super dumb Gundam.
I know. Yeah, that's basically. I want Jason. Please go home and watch that. You will watch 2 episodes, or at least one. Just watch one.
We'll have the Spaceballs challenge. How long can you sit through an episode of SD Gundam
Right now?
No.
Okay, because we've been on for 2 hours. I don't know if we want to, keep that up.
No.
Like we're doing it. We'll come back next week. We'll talk about Jason's reaction.
God, I'm gonna hate myself for it. But I'll leave.
You're gonna hate us more than
I'll
yourself.
leave a note in my phone to tell myself to do that.
Okay, completely has nothing to do with what I'm on Instagram. No, just like
That's how you start anything.
Brilliant, Sarah.
I started just like this. So
I'm gonna start calling him Sergues.
Segway.
I'm on Instagram.
Segway.
and there is a chick who posted a picture of a T-shirt with 1984 on it.
Mm-hmm.
You all know what's 1984, right?
It was a year. Okay.
But what happened?
I know what it's in reference. I'm sorry. Don't try to hit me. I know.
19 is that the Taylor Swift's new album?
That's 1987
Damn.
or 1989.
89. No, this is a book. It's George Orwell's most
1984.
84.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought you said 1994. I got
No.
confused.
1984. So like everyone knows that the short
Yeah.
has reference to the
Uh-huh.
If you don't
Book.
know, read.
and the girl posted, "That's a dope year."
Oh well.
Thank you for bringing a visual concept into this radio podcast.
You know, it's like how dumb people can be. It's like,
I mean,
In fairness, if she doesn't know, she doesn't know. It's not really her fault.
yeah, you're talking about a book that was written like what 50, 60 years ago, right? It's a really old book because 1984 was written before, obviously 1984, but
yeah, it was written in
like
1946.
46
I
or
believe,
50.
49.
49. Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
published in 49.
So the point being, it's like pop culture. I'm sorry, I couldn't help
no,
it.
it's okay. This is where we vent. This is where we talk about things.
Wow, he died the very next year.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Actually, like if you,
Illuminati.
Actually, like 6 months later, he died. Wow, I had no
1
idea.
plus 9 plus 8 plus
If-
4.
by the way,
He was
if
born in
6,
India?
6,
I'm learning so
Illuminati
much right
confirmed.
now.
yeah, he's British. By the way, if you want to learn how an idea can progress in one person, you should read all his books in order it
Uh-huh.
was written. You will see how it's funny from idealistic communist. He moves to pessimistic, like anarchist who doesn't believe in any ideology. I have no idea how it's connected to the podcast, but
This might come as a great surprise to you, but I don't really read.
Ebooks.
Even that.
Oh,
Have other people read for
by the way,
you.
speaking about ebooks,
Books on tape.
if you happen to have Kindle, like one of the older generations,
Hashtag not sponsored.
yeah, no, it just yeah, it's not sponsored, unfortunately. But like, you need to update your software by 22nd, or it will be disabled.
How? Like, how could they do that? It's West.
Because 1984.
Oh.
Perfect fit. Illuminati confirmed. He died the very next year. Why is that? What's the very next year? 1950. 1 plus 9 plus 50.
59 plus 10, 69. Illuminati confirmed. If you'd like to listen to more of our shenanigans.
Exactly what I was
If you'd like to listen to more of our stuff,
Hey, find us on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. The Unscripted Podcast.podbean.com.
don't forget the
Don't forget the. It's very important. You know, I went looking, and this pisses me off. Something fierce, I got to tell you. I couldn't remember the exact URL when I was out, and so in my car, I typed in the Unscripted Podcast to Google, and 4 other shows came up
Yeah, buddy.
that are
that's
not
reality.
ours. And they all, you know what? They all started after us, and they all updated more frequently, not more frequently, but more recently than us. And they're like, Gaming Unscripted. And I'm like, no, that's our corner.
So, lesson being
we should start-
trademark.
Outlive them.
We should
That's the
copyright
lesson.
the word unscripted, and then we have them pay us for doing the work.
Just
It's genius.
okay. That was the last show I was here. And you keep talking about that. It'd be like,
I don't know what you're
what'd you
talking
put in?
about.
The
I know what you're
Unscripted
talking
Podcast. But I didn't do it as one word. And that might be the problem.
No, I did a 3 and we're the second result.
Really?
Yeah.
When I did it on my phone, we were not.
Yeah, I got the second one. We're on iTunes.
I have Unscripted Cat. Oh, wait, that's us. Unscripted. What the crap? I swear to God, if I look on my phone, it comes up totally
okay,
differently.
I guess the reason why it was at that moment we didn't have any updates on our website.
Same amount of updates as usual. It was on like Tuesday. We would have had a show posted recently. Well, not necessarily, but we had the same amount of stuff on the site that we didn't hear. I'm going to try it again. The Unscripted Podcast.
While we're doing this right now, can I have a shameless plug in?
Sure, go for it.
I do another show, Feedback
Oh.
Weekly.
Horror.
Please listen.
Oh,
We finally, I was so excited to Kanye West album.
please clap.
I know
I saw your guys' one-word ratings. I see Daniel was very excited.
he does
to
not
branch
like
outside
that
of
at
his,
all, and it was the
comfort
best feeling
zone.
I've ever had. Like just making him listen to that. I was
Watching
really
him just
excited.
go.
If you- We do music reviews, music news stuff. It's cool.
This
Please
is so
listen.
weird. I can't get it to show the results that it did when I was in the car.
It's always updates, so I mean,
guess
like,
so.
You gotta believe me.
also they could have paid Google to have their result up.
You know what? Maybe. Who knows? Anyway,
Thanks everybody for
let's
listening,
go
guys.
and hit the button.
Bye bye.